Merry Christmas!
I hate Christmas! I hate all of you!
This holiday season, he knows if you've been naughty or nice.
Don't open the door. He is the shadow of St. Nicholas.
Hold on to each other.
Krampus is coming.
Nothing bad's gonna happen on Christmas.
Rated PG-13.
In a world where podcasts reign supreme, two friends dare to ask, do you even movie? Hosted by filmmaker Henrique Couto and movie aficionado David D. Neuer. Spoiler alert.
Hello and welcome back to Do You Even Movie? My name is Henrique Couto, your host, along with my co-host and air quotes friend, David Denoyer, who is not festive enough, but it's like Office Space. You were supposed to wear a certain amount of holiday flair. And you didn't. You will get a write-up.
I mean, it's Christmas Eve at this point, so I guess I'm really in trouble now.
Well, I don't like to harp on things, but being naughty isn't exactly what it used to be.
It is not.
You know, you think you're going to see Santa Claus, boy?
Santa don't visit the funeral home, little buddy.
You see Santa Claus, you better run, boy. Run for your life.
Yes.
But we're not talking about Silent Night, Deadly Night.
We are not.
Because Dave did not want us to pick a true classic. He wanted, I guess, a classic in the making.
I mean, if you want, I can talk about Silent Night, Deadly Night real quick, because I've been reading the novelization of it recently.
I call bullshit. You cannot read.
I can read, and I've been reading Armando Minaz's novelization of Silent Night, Deadly Night. I blanked there for a second. I had a blue screen of death. And it's from the same company that did the same company Stop the Killer. They are the people that are putting out the board games for My Bloody Valentine, Halloween 2, Silent Night, Deadly Night, and they've also been doing novelizations as of recent. They've done My Bloody Valentine, Silent Night, Deadly Night. I think they recently just did Happy Birthday to Me.
Black Christmas,
and Basket Case is one of the newest ones too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so the novelization of My Bloody Valentine had a lot of stuff added to it, as novelizations typically do.
Yeah, correct.
And that is exactly the same thing with Silent Night, Deadly Night. I'm having an absolute blast with this book, but it is so fucking vile and so takes liberties with the story that we know and love that I cannot even put into full description how much more Silent Night, Deadly Night you get from this book.
Which is bizarre because it was literally described with words.
Yes, it was. And numbers and sometimes.
How many numbers though, really?
But no, for real, it's the book gives you a whole backstory of the character of Grandpa and the shit that he's getting into in the asylum. You get a whole backstory on the guy that murders Billy's parents, the how he got his Santa suit, and how that car that pulls up to the gas station that he's driving has two bodies decomposing in the trunk in it.
Okay.
He's also apprehended 10 minutes after killing Billy's parents, but not to mention, when I say apprehended, he is shot through the front of his windshield. When I say shot out of the front of the windshield, and gets impaled by a tree, has his organs basically thrown out of his body, but also takes like 3-4 cops with him in the process.
No.
There's a whole backstory into Billy and Sister Margaret. There's a whole bunch of explanation in regards to what happens after he punches out Santa Claus in the one point as well.
Mm-hmm.
It is a lot of fun because it just expands even more so on a really fucked up movie already and makes it even more fucked up.
Well, novelizations tend to do that. People often don't realize what a brief experience a movie is compared to a book.
Yeah.
That's why I would dare say that the majority of like the best Stephen King adaptations are from his short stories to feature film.
Yeah.
As opposed to trying to adapt an entire novel to a feature film because you have to cut so much stuff out.
Yeah.
Generally. So I've always found that the best films of his often were based on short stories.
Yeah.
it makes sense. I mean, a short story is a lot closer to a feature film.
Well, I mean, The Monkey that's coming out, that's one of his short stories. And ironically enough, when I was going through my books a couple days ago, I have a book that's the Mammoth Book of Horror Stories. And the first one is The Monkey by Stephen King.
Well, there you go. Yeah. And novelizations have definitely made a comeback to some extent. I mean, it's still very niche.
Yeah, absolutely.
But like there were novelizations of the 3 most recent Halloween films.
Yep.
And
By Tim Wagner.
Those were released mainstream.
Yeah.
Novelizations are becoming very novel, for lack of a better term.
There is a 400-page novelization of Terrifier 2 available right now by the same author that did the Halloween books, Tim Wagner. And I've read reviews on it, and they say it's actually really good in regards to the details that you get that are not in the movie for Art as well as Sienna and her family.
I can't imagine the book is longer than Terrifier 2 is, though.
I mean, I'm most likely going to get a copy in the new year and check it out, even though it is 400 pages of Terrifier 2.
I mean, I would expect nothing less.
Nothing less, yes, at this point. But no, the reason I bring up Silent Night, Deadly Night is because not only is it Christmas time, but also usually when it comes to those novelizations, they're really limited and kind of hard to get. You have to pre-order them in advance, kind of like I just did with Black Christmas.
Right.
They are actually having a paperback made of Silent Night, Deadly Night right now that you can order from Shout Factory with the new 4K coming out.
Oh, wow.
So you can order the novelization standalone and get it as a bundle, or it's also available on Kindle. It's the only one of his novelizations available on Kindle so far.
Oh,
is Silent Night, Deadly Night. So that is me recommending Armando Munoz's Silent Night, Deadly Night novelization. It's been a blast so far. I'm halfway through it. Literally, I just reached like page 160, and we are just getting to Billy getting into the Santa suit at Ira's Toys.
I mean, I bought the novelization as well on hardback.
Yeah.
But like most books I buy, it sits on a shelf and looks
piece.
very nice.
Yes.
I just had to buy it because I buy everything that's Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Yeah.
I mean, I have the 4K sitting on my coffee table right now waiting.
The only one I really do want to get my hands on, but I think I have missed the boat, is Happy Birthday to Me, because I bet there is a lot of really cool shit in that book. Because, I mean, that movie in itself is a pretty solid slasher film that I feel is underrated. I don't think a lot of people talk about it much.
Yeah, not a ton.
Yeah.
Well, and novelizations, they're always very interesting. I had actually, I don't want to say the name of the movie, but I commissioned a novelization of an older public domain horror movie that I intend to eventually publish.
Mm-hmm.
And I was when the writer and I were talking about it, was David O'Hanlon, who's written the Babysitter Massacre books.
Yes.
When we were talking about it, he was like, how would you feel if the first third of the book is that whole movie?
Yeah.
And then I do 2 more acts. And I was like, what would the acts be like? And I'm not kidding. His response was, fucked up.
Yeah, if it's David O'Hanlon, yeah.
And I was like, well, you drive a hard bargain.
Yeah.
But it seems like that's the go-to. So
No, I love that.
No, eventually I'll publish them. I don't want to say something until they're ready to really go into the world.
Yeah, I gotcha.
But no, the novelization thing is very, very fun.
No, it's super fun, and like I said, it's readily available right now via Kindle, or you can get a copy through Shout. I cannot recommend the novelization enough, but I will say that due to the fact that I've already said it's pretty messed up, there is a lot of sexual content in it, so if that's something you don't want to read, then you probably shouldn't be watching or reading Silent Night, Deadly Night to begin with.
Well, if you don't read a lot of books, which I do not, people often forget how perverse literature is in general.
Oh, yeah.
When you can read someone's internal monologue, everything gets far worse in every way.
We get a look into Billy's life after he turns 18 and leaves the home and has his apartment. The man likes to rent adult videotapes and masturbate a lot. They don't shy away from that subject.
I guess that nun really didn't teach him anything. Mother Superior should have whipped him a lot more.
Spoiler alert with that real quick. So there is a whole section in the book where they talk about how Sister Margaret and Mother Superior are going at wit's end, which you do see them combative in the movie, obviously.
Sure.
Mother Superior is supposed to be attending this Christmas program, so Sister Margaret decides to hire a child psychologist to come see Billy. And Mother Superior ends up whooping the shit out of him with a belt and, like, breaking teeth, like, cutting his face with the belt.
Out of the therapist?
Yeah. Like,
Holy
beats
crap.
the shit out of the therapist.
Wow.
And then on top of that, you also find out that in the movie that Mother Superior towards the end is in a wheelchair because she had a stroke, as they say. Is it a stroke in the second one, or she had a fall in the first one? I can't remember.
Stroke was in the second one. They didn't really explain what was going on with her.
Well, they do in the book, because Sister Margaret may or may not be the reason that she ended up in that wheelchair secretly.
See, that's cool, but also like it kind of retcons a lot of what I like about Silent Night, Deadly Night.
That is the one thing I'll say is, like, if you're a fan of the movie, like, wholeheartedly, like, love it, know it from front to back, awesome. Be prepared to have some things added and changed.
Well, I mean, it's not canon.
No, it's
None
not
of the
canon.
novelizations are
No.
generally canon
No.
anyway. But that's kind of my favorite. One of my favorite things about, there's a lot I love deeply about Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Yeah.
One of them is like the Santa killer at the beginning.
Mhm.
Just, that's it.
Yeah.
He's gone.
Yeah.
Because why would you hear anymore?
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with the main point of the plot, him specifically.
Yeah.
Just what he did matters. I like that stuff. I actually, I don't know if you listened to Rachel and I's Cutting Deep into Horror about it,
Not yet.
but
Oh, wait, no. Yeah. So
yeah, I was gonna say you had a year.
Sorry, I was thinking of the newest one.
No. Well, that aired like yesterday.
Yeah.
Of when we're recording this.
Yes.
But one of the things that dawned on me after watching this film so many times is I don't think Mother Superior means harm
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah, no, I feel the same way.
And because one of the big things is that ending moment where she says there is no Santa Claus.
Mhm.
I thought she was just trying to like stand up to him and protect the kids. No,
Yeah.
she's trying to snap him out of it.
Yeah.
She's trying to save Billy.
Yeah.
And then there's that whole other element where, where she's literally like, no harm will come to anyone, which is super old school Catholic, so I've always loved Silent Night, Deadly Night. I do want to read the book eventually. I'm sure I'll get around to it. Last year in January, when I was able to go up to Michigan, I read all of the comics.
Mhm.
I think there are four
Four
at
of
the
them,
time.
yeah.
I don't think any more have been published.
No.
But they were pretty good.
They're fun.
One of them did a whole backstory about the Santa killer and
Yeah.
that.
And
So
I think there's some relation to that because it's been a while since I've read those comics. But the thing I will say to close on the Silent Night, Deadly Night novelization is, as Henrique and I just said, you can't take it as canon because there are some major changes to it, like one of which being Mother Superior is a straight up villain in the book.
Sure.
So yeah, that is one thing I will prepare you for.
Wow. I mean, she's the villain anyway. It's just
Yeah.
in the movie, I find her to be a complicated villain.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
So
Do You Even Movie will be right back. Welcome back to Do You Even Movie?
who wants to talk about complicated villains when we can talk about the least complicated villain, possibly in all of Christmas horror?
I would say so, yes.
As we are going to be talking about 2015's Krampus.
Yes.
But before we get into that,
Mhm.
I made you a promise.
You did.
At the start of the holiday season.
Uh-huh.
And now I have to follow through.
Okay.
So I am going to give you 3 uninterrupted minutes
Okay.
to talk about Santastein.
Why?
This is your Christmas gift.
Thank you so much. So in the
I'm going to take a break and drink some water.
in the spirit of Henrique and I going through our Christmas catalog of films that we pull from, we also like to go and see what has been released as of recent, whether something we missed in the past or even came out this year. And in my bright stupor that I decided to...
Stupor?
Stupor is the word I'm going with and,
Oh,
and
okay.
sticking with it. I decided to tell you about a movie that I saw had popped up on Vudu recently that was Santastein. And it was by Bloody Disgusting. It was Cineverse, so it looked... I watched the trailer. It looked decent or okay, I guess is the way I could put it. And it was one that we found out was on Prime. It actually is readily available everywhere now.
Because it came out last year.
Yeah, it came out last year, and it was a very big disappointment, was it not?
I mean, yeah, I it wasn't marketed as kind of like a homegrown, kind of like very
Yeah.
moderately professional movie. And I'm not trying to be mean. It's
No.
just, but it sometimes when you put a really great piece of artwork
Yeah.
and a really good trailer on a movie, and then I would say about half of the film is surprisingly amateur,
Mhm.
it hurts the film because of the expectations you set.
Yeah.
We were expecting kind of a straight up slasher movie.
Slasher film, yeah.
And the first half of it had massive problems with the sound mix.
Mhm.
We had trouble understanding the dialogue, but then in the middle of the movie, it was fine,
It changed a bit, yeah.
which is almost more worrisome.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I think my biggest problem, besides the general just storytelling, because it was all over the place.
Well, it was also like a very, outrageous horror comedy
Yeah.
as well.
I did not find a single character likable, to be honest.
I don't think that was an accident, though.
No.
I think they were trying to
Yeah.
to be really silly and really kind of nudgy toward the camera and all that.
Normally I can point out like there were cool things about it. I did not. I don't have much memory of it, even though we watched it like 3 days ago.
Yeah.
I don't even have much memory of it now.
I mean, I think that if you want to watch Santastein, it definitely is the kind of thing you'll like if you like that kind of thing. So if you want to watch like a really silly, really kind of homegrown is the best word I can think of, because it comes across as very like a first film, a first feature. There's a lot of rough edges and things like that.
Yeah.
If that's the kind of thing you like, if you want to watch a movie that's kind of aiming for being so bad it's good, I don't think you could do worse.
You could,
but we thought, based on the poster and the trailer, well, really the problem is that I trusted you.
You literally hit play on it because it was available on Prime, and you said
we should watch that.
No, I said, hey, there's a movie called Santastein that I found recently, and you pulled it up and you're just like, oh, it's on Prime, we'll just watch it. I didn't say we should watch it. I was just saying I had found this film.
And I thought we were friends.
And I would like to add that this film is literally about a guy that ends up killing Santa Claus when he's a young kid.
Which is probably the best
scene of the whole
film.
movie, yeah. He ends up keeping his brain. He is a scientist, and he decides to basically resurrect the brain inside a new body, and Santa is crazy, and I don't even know. Like, it's
you don't know.
The Santa,
he's literally the killer.
The Santastein was one of the most disappointing things about that movie.
Also, and I'll close it with this. This was me just picking on David by making him have to talk about it because you deserved it.
That's fair.
But the biggest problem, though, by large, Santastein's a terrible title for it. It should have been Franken-Santa. Franken-Santa sounds so much better than Santastein. That's my biggest critique, actually.
Yeah. But like you said, you could do a lot better. You could do a lot worse.
Yeah, it's not, if you're hoping to sit down and watch a movie that gives you, professional movie vibes.
Yeah.
And not sit down and watch a so bad it's good kind of thing.
Yeah.
And granted, it was called Santastein. It's more so like, it was very frustrating when you couldn't hear the dialogue over the music.
No, very
and
much
things
so.
like that. That's a cardinal sin. It makes it very hard to enjoy the movie, because I like to be as kind as I can to any film I watch.
Yeah.
We did watch it all the way to the end.
We did.
It's just that we were kind of like, wow.
I don't think we'll ever have lightning strike in a bottle like it did with All Through the House. All Through the House was so much fun.
Yeah, that was a
still
pretty
holds up.
Yeah, that was a pretty good one.
So, yeah.
So, but you still have a minute left.
A minute left
to talk about it.
Are you sure you just don't want to get into Krampus and actually have fun?
Nah. Everybody has fun for the holidays. I don't want to be cliche. So we're gonna have a bad time. So who do you love that's dead?
Oh, Jesus.
Well, that's one.
Actually,
okay, fair enough.
That was an accident.
I mean, if you love him, that's good. It wasn't an accident. Well, the Romans stumbled and accidentally hammered him to a cross. Whoopsie doodle.
Oh my God.
So we are talking about 2015's Krampus.
Yes.
Where can people watch it if they haven't before?
Krampus is currently available on Max and Peacock. You can also get the awesome Naughty Cut on 4K from Shop Factory right now as well.
Right. And then, so it is a PG-13 film.
Yes.
But there is an R-rated, air quotes, kind of cut, which has a few more swear words, but mostly extended dialogue and the very rare extra little bit of violence.
Yeah.
But it's mostly a few extra swear words and some extra dialogue, which I think works for the film.
Fantastic. No, I couldn't agree more. So it is 1 hour and 38 minutes, rated PG-13 for sequences of horror, violence, terror, language, and some drug references.
These movies keep using language. Like, just don't talk in it.
Our director and one of the writers on the film is Michael Dougherty. He gets his start.
Dougherty?
Is it Dougherty?
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 Dougherty.
Dougherty. Did I fuck up?
Dougherty. That's what you spell Dougherty.
Dougherty, okay.
Dougherty.
Dougherty. Say it again.
Dougherty.
Michael Dougherty.
I'm pretty sure I'm saying it right.
Okay.
It's literally spells Dougherty.
Yeah.
Or Dougherty, but I don't think that's how you say that last name.
Michael Dougherty. Gets his start in 2007 as a director on Trick or Treat. He was also the writer on that film. Then does Krampus in 2015, which he's a writer on. Godzilla King of the Monsters in 2019, which he's a writer on. He was also a writer on X2, X-Men United in 2003. Urban Legends Bloody Mary in 2005. Superman Returns in 2006. X-Men Apocalypse in 2016. And Godzilla vs. Kong in 2021.
Right. So, that was a pretty big leap for him jumping into the Godzilla franchise. Yeah, but he hasn't come back to it, which is a little bit of a bummer.
He has. I will say, too, I really like Urban Legends Bloody Mary. I think that's an underrated entry.
We all know you love Urban Legends Bloody Mary.
Just saying. I think all three Urban Legends are good, whereas the I Know What You Did Last Summer series, not so much.
Oh, we'll be watching 3 on your birthday, don't worry.
Oh, Jesus.
Do You Even Movie will be right back. Welcome back to Do You Even Movie?
One of the other writers on the film is Todd Casey. He gets his start in 2007 on the Transformers animated series. He does Green Lantern, Emerald Knights in 2011, Batman the Brave and the Bold series in 2009, Thundercats, Avengers Assemble, Hulk and the Agents of Smash, Krampus in 2015, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in 2015, Star vs. the Force of Evil in 2016, Hilda, Trash Truck, Centaur World in 2021, and most recently, The Legend of Vox Machina in 2023.
Well, all right.
Moving down to our other writer, we have Zach Shields. He gets his start as a writer on Trick or Treat Father's Day short in 2012, which he also directed. Krampus in 2015, The Cost of Summer in 2017, Godzilla King of the Monsters in 2019, and Godzilla vs. Kong in 2021.
That sounds like he's quite the writing partner.
I would say so. Our cinematographer on the film is Jules O'Loughlin.
So you could say Laughlin.
I can't say Laughlin because I know Lori Laughlin from Full House back in the day.
Oh, did she bribe you too? It's an honest question, Dave.
That is an honest question. Did anything ever come of that?
I don't think your kid got in the school.
I mean, I know that, yeah.
I mean, she was on Curb Your Enthusiasm making jokes about it.
Oh, she was?
Oh, God,
okay,
yeah.
I haven't watched any of the new
Yeah,
Curb.
she's like bribing constantly at the country club.
That's really funny.
And Larry figures it out.
That's really funny. I need to check that out.
Well, it's almost like, the last season was pretty good.
Yeah, you've been saying that.
I'm sorry.
Jules O'Loughlin gets started as a DP in 2006 with Kodiak in 39th Battalion, September in 2007, In Her Skin in 2009, Sanctum in 2011. Did you ever see Sanctum, the cave movie that Cameron produced?
No.
It is really, really good, but it's really, really sad.
Huh. I mean, I'm more of an Inner Sanctum kind of person.
Inner Sanctum is good. Wish You Were Here in 2012, Red for Now in 2013, Deep Sea Challenge in 2014, Black Sails, then shoots Krampus in 2015, followed by The Whole Truth in 2016, The Duel in 2016, Hitman's Bodyguard in 2017, The Pacific in Wake of Captain Cook in 2018, Angel Has Fallen in 2019, Sea in 19, Come Away in 2020, Shark Beach, Jolt, Joe vs. Carol, the Peacock series with Joe Exotic.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. Miss Marvel in 2022, The Old Man in 2022, and most recently, Percy Jackson series on Disney Plus in 2023.
Okay.
Our IMDb synopsis of the film says, a boy who has a bad Christmas accidentally summons a festive demon to his family home.
I mean, that's accurate. It's a little plain Jane.
My synopsis: when Max's family Christmas brings nothing but dysfunction and fights, Max angrily destroys his letter to Santa, which summons Krampus, an ancient demon who punishes the naughty.
It's not bad, but poor grammar.
Poor grammar?
You used Max twice in a row when you should have put his or he.
Oh, yeah, I guess I should have. Go to hell.
Do you have any idea how much proofreading I do in a week?
Yeah, I can see that.
How many times I'm like, why does it say Debbie went to the door and opened it? Debbie was wondering what was that. It's like, well, there's nobody else here, so we could say she one time.
That's fair.
So what I'm saying is college he went to.
Film school, which also got federally shut down and investigated.
Yeah, but you also finished high school. You should at least be a little bit better at something with the writing, reading, and arithmetic.
I took creative writing my senior year. Thank you very fucking much.
Where'd you take it?
In high school.
I mean, where'd you take it to? Like out back to shoot it, or
in the ass?
That's a very offensive thing to say.
Taglines.
I apologize for everybody.
Taglines include, you don't want to be on his list. Is coming to town.
Yeah, that's a good one.
You better watch out.
I mean, that's a classic.
When the Christmas spirit is lost, he arrives.
I don't know if that's a good tagline, but I like it because I like the movie.
Will you survive Christmas?
Eh.
And then he sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He knows if you've been bad or good, so be good for goodness sake.
I mean, that's just an entire verse of a song.
Santa Claus is coming to town.
Yes. Those are all fine.
Yeah.
Is coming to town.
Is coming to town's probably good. My favorite, I think, is when the Christmas spirit is lost, he arrives.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one, too.
I like that one. Moving down to our cast, we have Adam Scott in the film who plays Tom. 130 credits on his resume, by the way.
Wow, I'm actually kind of surprised.
Just wait till we get to another person on here. So he gets his start in 94 at Dead at 21, goes on to ER in 95, Boy Meets World, NYPD Blue, Hellraiser Bloodline in 96.
His finest feature film.
Star Trek First Contact in 96.
Who the hell did he play in Star Trek First Contact?
I didn't look. I apologize.
Why do you hate me?
I'll look after the show, I promise. Party of Five in 98, High Crime, 6 Feet Under, Torque in 2004, CSI Miami, The Aviator, The Matador, Veronica Mars, Monster-in-Law in 2006, Law and Order Knocked Up, Step Brothers, one of his most famous probably, Party Down in 2009, Leap Year, followed by the Sarah Silverman Program in 2010, Piranha 3D, Eastbound and Down, American Dad, Parks and Rec, Our Idiot Brother, The Guilt Trip, Drunk History, Black Mass, Krampus, Veep, Little Evil, Disaster Artist, The Good Place, Big Little Lies, Severance, and most recently in 2024, Madam Web.
I totally remember Adam Scott in Star Trek First Contact. Yeah, he is the ops manager on the USS Defiant that's captained by Worf.
Okay.
He has a line. He actually says like something along the lines of like, our shields are failing, like what do we do? And then Worf is like, ramming speed, but then they get saved by Picard. That's one of my favorite parts of the movie because when they save him, they say the Defiant, sir, and they're like, damaged but salvageable, tough little ship, and he looks right at Riker and goes, little.
That's solid.
I love Star Trek.
Moving down to our cast is Toni Collette, who plays Sarah in the film. She gets her start in 1990 with A Country Practice, followed by Muriel's Wedding in 94, Emma, Velvet Goldmine in 98, The Sixth Sense in 99, which I always forget she's the mom in.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she is. Well, it's just like, it's funny because like Adam Scott's another example. I never really recalled him being like a super sitcom regular for a decade or more. I remember him really kind of hitting after Party Down, for the most part.
Yeah. Shaft in 2000, Dinner with Friends in 2001, Changing Lanes, About a Boy, The Hours, Connie and Carla, In Her Shoes in 2005, Little Miss Sunshine in 2006, The Night Listener, Evening, How to Lose Friends and Alienate People in 2008, United States of Terror in 2009. Did you ever watch that show?
No.
That is a really good show that I cannot recommend enough, where she has multiple personalities. It's really good. Fright Night remake in 2011, Hitchcock, The Way, Way Back, Enough Said, Tammy, The Box Trolls, Krampus in 2015, Imperium, Triple X, Return of Xander Cage, which I completely forgot she was in.
A real feature film.
Please Stand By, Hereditary, Wanderlust, Velvet Buzzsaw, which I forgot about.
Oh, wait, that artsy... Mm-hmm. Oh, I liked Velvet Buzzsaw.
Knives Out, Nightmare Alley, Mafia Mama in 2023.
Ah, yes. Your favorite.
I liked Mafia Mama.
There's nothing wrong with it, but after watching it, I was like, I see why it underperformed a little bit.
I think they put a little too much in the basket on that movie.
That's a phrasing I've never heard before, but I think it's fair.
Ruby Gillman, Teenage Kraken in 2023, and most recently is in Juror Number 2 in 2024. Which I did not know she was in.
Is that the Eastwood movie?
Eastwood, yeah.
Yeah, I really want to see that.
Moving down to the end of our cast, we have David Koechner, who plays Howard in the film. 215 credits on his IMDb
How can you say Koechner but not Dougherty?
Because I've heard Koechner many times and also listened to a couple podcasts he's on. I thought it was Dougherty. I'm being dead serious.
Dougherty?
I thought it was Dougherty. Wow. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
The Jamie Foxx Show in 1996, Mad About You, Wag the Dog, Dirty Work in 98, Man on the Moon, Out Cold, Run Ronnie Run, Greg the Bunny. Remember Greg the Bunny?
Of course I remember Greg the Bunny.
A Guy Thing, My Boss's Daughter, Anchorman in 2004, 40-Year-Old Virgin, The Office, Thank You for Smoking, which I love Thank You for Smoking and may come to the show soon.
I know you do.
Waiting in 2005, Talladega Nights, The Battle of Ricky Bobby, Snakes on a Plane, Balls of Fury, Semi-Pro, The Goods, Live Hard, Sell Hard, Extract, Hannah Montana, Final Destination 5, Piranha 3 Double D, Cheap Thrills, Justified, then he does Krampus in 2015, Twin Peaks Revival in 2017, Future Man in 2017, Drunk History, Vicious Fun in 2020, which I love that movie.
liked Vicious
That
Fun
was
a
a
lot.
lot of fun. So,
Well, it was vicious fun. But so Koechner is a guy who I remembered being the sitcom goofy guy that popped up in everything. But after Anchorman, all of a sudden he was
everywhere.
He was just the funny guy
Yeah.
in basically everything.
Yeah.
And rightfully so. He's super funny. I think one of my favorite performances of his is in Cheap Thrills.
Oh, Cheap Thrills is
He's
fantastic.
so good in Cheap Thrills.
We may have to do Cheap Thrills. It's been a while since I've seen it. I remember loving that
It's
movie.
been a long time since I've watched it.
That might be one. So what was your first time watching Krampus?
One of the 3 times I went to the theater to watch it, because I loved Krampus so much when it first came out.
Yeah.
I saw it the opening
We saw it.
weekend,
We saw it opening night. It was the Thursday
Yeah.
premiere.
and I just remember liking it so much that anyone I talked to who would be like, "Oh yeah, I was wondering about that," I'm like, "Let's go see it."
Yeah.
So I saw it 3 times at least. I believe it was 3 in the theater. I feel like I'd remember if it was 4, because usually it's always 3 if I really love a movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I was already a nerd for Trick or Treat,
Mhm.
and I thought Dougherty, I think that he has an incredible flair for mythos and
Mhm.
mythology. So I was like, hell yeah, let's do Christmas, because I do not understand the people who deny that Christmas is easily nearly as scary as Halloween.
Yeah.
Just the whole, I mean, and people could be like, well, but it all, the basis is like away in a manger, blah, blah. It's like, sure. But the basis of Halloween was like, we want our crops to be good, and like, we miss our loved ones. And then it became spooky as shit. Christmas, there's a long-standing history of ghost stories at Christmas.
Yeah.
There's a long-standing history of, the whole Santa thing.
Home invasion.
Well, but not just that, but like, think about if you didn't know who Santa was.
Yeah.
If you'd never heard that story before, if it wasn't normalized in any way to you, and then somebody came to you and went, yeah, there's this stranger who knows you
Mm-hmm.
implicitly. He watches you. He knows when you're sleeping. He
Mhm.
knows when you're awake. He judges you and writes in a list if you've been good or bad.
Yeah.
It is a little scary.
It's very scary. It's very unsettling.
But and I know that's a lot of people have pointed that out over the years. It's not a new take or anything. So there's a lot of room for that. But the biggest thing is, and Halloween has been trying to kind of catch up with this.
Yeah.
Christmas is a great setting for just about any story.
Mhm.
Because if you grow up in the United States of America in particular,
Do You Even Movie will be right back. Welcome back to Do You Even Movie?
the lights, the decor, the music, everything. One of the reasons I love Christmas is because it's the time of year that is different from all other times of year.
Yeah.
I love that. I think it's awesome that like houses look different
Mhm.
during Christmas time. I think that's really amazing. And like I said, Halloween's really been pushing that. I mean, every year there's more Halloween lights. There's
Yeah.
more, Halloween yard ornaments and things like that. And I like that too. I like the idea that around Halloween, you're starting to notice, giant inflatable jack-o'-lanterns and 12-foot tall skeletons in people's yards.
Yeah.
It's fun because regular everyday life is so the same, and it's supposed to be. I mean, you don't want it to be one day you have a house, one day it's on fire.
Yeah.
That's not good.
That would not be good.
But there's so much the same so often. I love the idea that as the year winds down, we throw up some lights and we sing some songs that are fun, and our movies are cute, and they're all about a high-powered businesswoman who needs the penis of a man from a small town to help her realize there's more to life than work. That is what I love about the holidays. What'd I say?
The truth.
Oh, I gotta stop doing that. But so I love Christmas anyway, and I believe that it is the perfect setting. I'm not saying that every movie should take place on Christmas.
Yeah.
But I would say that almost any film would be elevated by being set at Christmas.
I think honestly that is absolutely true, because we pride ourselves on like literally watching movies and being like, oh, it's a Christmas movie, because like we see lights and whatnot, and that almost like gives it like an extra star immediately just for that. Well, and that might just be us, and I get that.
We also like to do that if the movie is particularly like themed poorly for Christmas, like if it's a bank heist movie and a woman just got shot in the head. Then they drive by some lights on a wall and we go, hey, Christmas movie.
Well, I mean, I think the testament by far is still Eaten Alive.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's a Christmas movie. There's a Santa Claus in that, goddammit.
There is a Santa Claus.
And I ordered the 4K, don't worry.
I figured you would.
But, no, so with that being said, and that's why I have the Christmas scale of 1 to 10, how Christmas is this movie. Yeah. Krampus is a 10.
Oh, there's no doubt about it.
Well, it has to be, because as I've mentioned, you can't get past 8 unless the story is directly related. As in, without Christmas, there is no story.
There is no story, yeah.
So, even you could make arguments about movies like, oh, they're stealing something on Christmas Eve because everybody, that's borderline.
Have you seen the newest hot topic? Not the store, an actual topic that people are talking about.
What?
Lethal Weapon is more of a Christmas movie than Die Hard?
I don't know.
I don't agree.
See, you're going to get in the weeds with that, because they both are set at Christmas.
Yeah.
And they're both set in Los Angeles, so neither of them have snow. Other than the cocaine, which both movies have cocaine, because Joel Silver was involved.
Jerry Silver. I'm Joel Silver's cocaine guy.
I'm Joel Silver's cocaine guy. Also, maybe his brother. I forget. I do too much cocaine. But so I don't know. Like, I would have to watch Lethal Weapon again, like now, to really say. But I feel like there's almost no Christmas music cues other than maybe Christmas music, as to where like Die Hard uses sleigh bells in the score.
Yeah, Lethal Weapon opens with Jingle Bell Rock.
Well, of course.
And then closes with Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. But as far as the Christmas approach from Die Hard, Christmas is all throughout Nakatomi.
Yeah.
Lethal Weapon has like maybe a few shots. And I mean, it does have the fight in the Christmas tree lot.
Well, they're also they're like lots of locations too. We're set in an office building on a Christmas party. So it's going to have more Christmas iconography anyhow.
Yeah.
But my point is that I feel like Die Hard played with the concept more than Lethal Weapon, just from the fact that they leaned into having sleigh bells in the actual score.
That is true.
Using Christmas songs is great and all, but having those moments where John McClane is trying to get away and the it's playing it up. So in that way, I think it's a little bit more Christmassy.
Okay.
Not immensely higher on the Christmas scale, but then, I mean, what's really Christmassy is Die Hard 2.
Oh, yeah.
Die Harder, because there's a snowstorm, it's holiday travel, there's Santa stuff. There's that one is a lot more Christmassy.
Yeah, no, it absolutely. I think Lethal Weapon definitely has a case to be made, but I feel like Die Hard is the stronger of the two, and that could just be my personal opinion. I mean, I may not have everything broken down, but distinctly for Lethal Weapon, I remember the final fight with the Christmas tree where they ram the car through the house and then he fights Busey and whatnot. As far as other Christmas things in that movie, like, yeah, Gibson's watching Looney Tunes Christmas special at one point. Like I said, opens to Jingle Bell Rock. I just feel like there's a lot more I can name in Die Hard that is not present in Lethal Weapon.
Well, the inciting incident of Die Hard is a Christmas party.
Yeah.
And that's a big plus.
Yeah.
Again, I don't think that makes the movie incredibly Christmassy, but there's no, that's not the inciting incident. It's not like, Murtaugh becomes Riggs's partner because a magic reindeer told him he had to, which would be awesome.
And there is also caroling in Lethal Weapon, because they do have that scene in The Office. So.
Well, you're not wrong.
So yeah, I mean, fuck, I guess I need a fresh eye watch on Lethal Weapon.
I think the real problem is people are looking for something new to be an edgelord about.
Yeah.
Now that Die Hard is inarguably a Christmas movie to most people.
Yeah.
I don't understand that fight. I mean, it's not a movie about Christmas. I agree.
Yeah.
But if you want to make that the line of what's a Christmas movie, is it about Christmas? Then you have to debate Home Alone.
Yeah.
You have to, and basically you end up left with just like the Santa Claus.
Yeah.
And One Magic Christmas.
But then
and stuff like that.
You don't have to debate Terrifier 3 because it's Christmas AF.
Well, yeah. I mean, but that was a marketing point too.
That was a plan.
Like,
oh yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, there's no Christmas stuff on either Lethal Weapon or Die Hard's posters.
Yeah.
It's not sold as Christmas.
Just Riggs and Murtaugh under mistletoe with their guns.
I mean, that would be a great poster.
It would be.
That would be a great one. They need to do that for Lethal Weapon 5. It needs to go all Christmas.
All Christmas.
Just entirely Christmas. But anyway, no, I think that they just want a new debate because the Die Hard is or isn't a Christmas movie debate has waned quite a bit. I don't even know which side annoys me more. The side that says it is or isn't at this point.
I've just accepted that Die Hard is a Christmas movie to me because I'll watch it every December 1st while I put it in my tree. So that's just my tradition now.
I mean, that's fine.
Yeah.
You're not smart, so
I never said I was.
No, but I mean, there are a lot of, I mean, like, to me, my favorite Christmas movie, and I'm not even trying to be edgy, is Silent Night, Deadly Night. And that's not, believe it or not, it's not because I want to be able to say it's a horror movie, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
I just think it's a really, like, I actually feel really Christmassy when I watch it.
It has become a special presentation for me every year. Like I don't have it planned. I just have it planned in the rotation. I don't know what day I'm going to watch it, but there will be a night where I'll be like, yeah, I got some eggnog. I got nothing to do. I'm popping on Silent Night, Deadly Night.
See, I put on 2 for no good reason.
Yeah.
But I put on 1 with a lot of thought.
I have to get 5 into the rotation this year because that's the only one not logged on my Letterboxd right now.
I can't believe we have Blu-rays of all of them.
I know, man. Tell me about it.
There was a time when all I had were the VHS rips of them and a VHS copy of 3.
Yeah.
An official VHS. And then I had that out-of-print DVD that kept coming back into print. But yeah, and that's the thing, if you want edgy Christmas movies out your butt, you've got 5 Silent Night, Deadly Night movies
6
to enjoy. Well, I count 5.
Yeah, made fair.
Silent Night, nothing. I actually really like that movie.
It's good,
but it is not a Silent Night, Deadly Night movie.
No, I mean it has borrowed lines, but it has nothing to do with the.
It's a
canon.
Great actiony horror flick, and it's Christmas, very Christmas.
Yeah,
but it doesn't have any of the vibes of Silent Night, Deadly Night movies. That's all.
Did I tell you that 5 was the only one I owned on VHS when I still had my VHS collection?
I mean, good for you, though.
I found it at a Roundabout Books.
You do love you some Mickey Rooney.
Who hated Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Well, until he had gambling debts, I think.
Yeah, or just joined a movie that was called The Toy Maker and then got relabeled.
No, he knew what he was doing.
All right.
That company had already made 2 other fucking Silent Night, Deadly Night movies.
That's fair.
Do You Even Movie will be right back. Welcome back to Do You Even Movie?
So you ready to get into Krampus?
What is that now? I was literally about to say, David, why did you keep this conversation going? Horrible move.
Because this is our Christmas Eve show. We can go crazy.
We can?
We can.
Where's my gun?
Ooh.
Oh my God.
What?
No, I just need to say something.
Oh, no.
I've been looking for this. I've been looking. Okay, so for those listening, I am holding up a cardigan. I have been looking. I have 2 cardigans. The one I'm wearing right now, which is gold, and this blue one. I have been looking all over my house
for that cardigan.
And it was on my life. It was on an equipment rack.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just looked over and went, hey, what's that? And there it was.
There it was.
And here I thought Rachel accidentally put it in the shed. Talk about Krampus, you fuck.
We open with a frozen Universal logo accompanied by wind, sleigh bells, and just eerie sounds.
That's one way to put it.
Yeah.
How did you feel about it, about me booming that fucking soundtrack out of the 5.1?
I mean, first off, the 4K of this movie is gorgeous.
It's incredible.
It's incredible. But the sound mix is phenomenal.
Yeah. I recently upgraded my entire home theater a lot.
Yes, you have.
I upgraded my television to an OLED. I upgraded my projector to a 4K-ish. It's a long story. Don't get me started. It looks amazing. It's a 4K HDR projector. I had no idea how not great my old projector looked until I hooked that fucker up.
It made your Blu-ray of Dutch look the best I've ever seen Dutch.
Yeah, it was stupid.
Yeah, it was stupid.
And then, but the coup de grace, the pièce de résistance, the omelette de fromage was...
Did you just... No, you didn't.
I just said cheese omelet.
You did. I thought Dexter's Laboratory.
Oh yeah. I realized as I was upgrading all of these things, I was basically getting myself a gift for having to work like on average 85 hours a week in October.
Yeah.
So I was like, I deserve a new TV. I deserve, and then Dave got my old one because I'm way too nice. So
You are a mensch.
I am. But as I was looking at everything, I was like, man, my surround system was always bottom of the barrel. I got it used. It's very, very cheap. It's not very loud.
Yeah.
It was always fine. But hooking it up to the new system was actually really challenging. And I was about to buy a bunch of connectors and stuff. And then I was like, why don't I get a modern sound system? So I found one on sale because it was on Black Friday.
Yeah.
So I got like last year's Samsung surround sound system, and it's nuts. It booms, it shakes the house.
Yeah.
Rachel has been like during it was before Black Friday. It was in October I bought it because I was watching Halloween movies.
That's right.
And Rachel was like, I could feel the bass of the
That's right.
of the theme songs
Yeah.
when you watch them. Anyway, but it is I had no idea how much more I could elevate the home viewing process. But now it's just obscene.
It's amazing.
But Krampus, my point, it is actually related to the topic.
Yeah.
Shocking. But Krampus has a great sound design and soundtrack. And, those moments where something scary was happening, I mean, there would be a rumble in the house and it would be super, super loud. Which I think made it even more fun to watch. That 4K looked amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I can't recommend enough if you're a bit of a video snob or if you're a bit of a cinephile snob, and you're already like HDR 4K, that's what's up.
Yeah.
This is the only time, and granted, I've only watched a few in full HDR movies. This is the first time I've watched a movie in HDR and went, this is good for this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Because the scenes where they're outside in the winter terrorland and trying to figure out, what's going on, those scenes were always like very desaturated, but kind of bright because, you had to be able to see them.
Yeah.
Well, for those who don't know, HDR, all it does is make it so that there's way more detail in the darker images and way more detail in the lighter images.
Mm-hmm.
It expands that spectrum, the difference between light and dark. So on this one, watching it for the first time in HDR, I was shocked how dark when they were outside and the sun was supposed to get down, it was, but we could still see everything. It was just dark.
Yeah.
And that was a really cool experience. I was surprised how much I thought that looked amazing. Cause usually we fake making things look dark on videotape, on movies. But this time around, it was just like, I was like, holy crap, I'm getting so much out of this. So I will say, if you're like somebody who has like a really nice setup and you love that 4K HDR stuff, this is one
to definitely pick
to upgrade. And this is the first time I've went, oh my God, the HDR on this was just wow.
Yeah.
So anyway, sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
No, I don't want your thing.
So then we begin to hear it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas as it's sang to us over footage of a Black Friday at a mega mall, basically.
And hearkening to a simpler, better time.
Simpler, better times.
So I have friends who think that there are still Black Friday riots. There aren't.
We talked about this.
That was a brief era of human history where they were like, people were like stomping over each other to get stuff.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen anymore. The stores figured out how to organize it so that people are not freaking out.
So we don't pull the opening of Thanksgiving.
Well, and on top of that, I mean, price cutting is not like it used to be anyway.
No, it's
so
not.
The sales aren't as obscene anymore. So we're not like desperate.
Yeah.
Because Dave and I used to go on Black Friday to Best Buy.
Yeah, Best Buy, and I would even hit Walmart sometimes.
Sometimes Walmart. I mean, I was shocked one time they had like a bunch of Blu-rays on sale.
Yeah.
And I wasn't going to go. I was like, on Black Friday. And my cousin Jeff was like, I just walked in, got 5-6 Blu-rays, checked out and went home. And I was like, how long were you there? It's like 20 minutes.
I will say Black Friday is the only time I've ever seen a TV legit get stolen out the front door of a Walmart.
Well, I mean, that's because you live in a very nice area comparatively.
That was in college.
Oh. Yeah.
That was in Mason.
Yeah. The funny thing about my area is not too bad, but my nearest Walmart is in a rougher area.
It is.
My mom would refuse to ever go there. She would be like, people get shot there. And I'd be like, well, are you going there to sling drugs, Mom?
I mean, I've been at the Miller Lane one a couple times and questioned why I was there.
Oh dear. So the Black Friday sale is beginning. It's played in slow motion to beautiful Christmas music. It's very bright and shiny. We're seeing money being exchanged. People fighting over things.
Security dragging people away, hitting them with tasers and just grinning while they do it.
The one I will say that I love is one of the more subtle ones, which is as somebody's buying something, as they're handing her back her change for her stuff, she just looks miserable.
So sad.
She just looks like,
so
yay.
sad.
And that one hit me because I was like, damn, okay. Because I think buying gifts is fun.
Yeah, we also see a family trying to get their kids to take a picture with Santa, and one of them's crying. Santa doesn't look amused, neither does the elf. We also see that there's just cashiers, like Enrique said, just lifeless behind the counter. And then we meet Max and his family as they're at a Christmas play that's happening in the mart. And Max is rolling on the ground with one of the kids that's playing a shepherd and just beating the ever-loving shit out of him.
Yeah, all played in slow motion with the up-tempo music. I'm just going to give this movie a pass on why is there a pageant inside of a department store?
Yeah, I was wondering the same thing, but then I also love Where the Heart Is, and that movie ends with a wedding inside a Walmart.
All I'm saying is, movie about an evil Christmas demon.
Yeah.
Could you please be more realistic?
So we also see that Max's sister Beth is just grinning as she's taking video of this happening. Tom and Sarah, which are his parents, go up and pull him off, and then that's when we get the Krampus title card, and we come back home as they're returning from the Christmas pageant, and Omi is there, which is the grandmother. She's watching A Christmas Carol on the TV, and they're all scolding Max except for Omi about the fight, basically.
Well, Omi's just not saying much.
No, she's not. She's baking Christmas cookies, having a good time.
I mean, she seems contented. By German standards, she is jubilant.
Yeah.
She is like leaking happiness by German standards.
So Max is trying to argue his point that the kid was saying things about Santa Claus not being real, and he was trying to protect the holiday, and that's when his family is just like, well, this is like too much. We got family coming over, get yourself cleaned up. And he's like, well, aren't we going to watch Charlie Brown and wrap presents? And that's when his dad's like, not for what you just pulled. Actually, if you're going to do that, like, get on it. They're going to be here any minute.
Yeah. So it's clear that this year's Christmas is coming off as kind of an afterthought to everybody except young Max.
Yeah. So Sarah, Tom, and his sister Beth walk out of the kitchen, and that's when Omi asks Max if he's finished his letter to Santa yet, and he shows it to her. That's when Sarah is shown hanging the picture of Santa that they just brought, and that's when we see that Santa was checking out Beth in the picture as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great because she just looks at the picture, and then all of a sudden her eyes kind of furrow, and she's like,
yeah.
And she sees what's going on in the picture.
Do You Even Movie will be right back. Welcome back to Do You Even Movie?
So we cut back to Omi, and Max asks her if she really believes in Santa, and that's when Omi tells him that, believing in Santa is the true Christmas spirit, and that she believes in anything that keeps the spirit alive. And she also believes in dessert before dinner and gives Max a cookie. It's really sweet.
It is. It's a great way to show, like, a sweet grandmother enabling their delinquent grandchild.
So Beth is Skyping her boyfriend upstairs. He's trying to get her to come over, but she's like, no, we got the relatives coming over. And just as she says this, the house literally begins to shake.
Yes. Because your crazy uncle's here.
Crazy uncle is here. We see that Tom is in his study pouring some scotch, and that's when we meet Linda and Howard along with their kids, Jordan, Stevie, Howie Jr., and they bring in a dish of mac and cheese. Howard comes in and drops presents, and that's when Max even tries to talk to Howie Jr. about Santa, and Howie Jr. just kind of stares straight ahead. Mute.
Well, I don't think if he says like 3 words.
Yeah.
He has that kind of doe-eyed, that boy ain't right kind of expression going, which is very, very funny, especially because Max is a little nebbish, neurotic shit, and he's just kind of, hi. And
meanwhile, Jordan and Stevie, his sisters, are basically tomboys, and they notice right away that
basically tomboys.
They are tomboys.
They are dressed like little boys.
Yes. And that is when they notice that Max's letter to Santa is in the back pocket, so you think something's most likely going to happen with that.
Uh-oh.
Sarah is surprised by Linda, who also shows up, bringing Aunt Dorothy, played by the great Conchata Farrell, who you may remember from, 2.5 Men? She was
from
on
like every sitcom.
Yeah, I was going to say
she was either a key player or a walk-on relative on like every sitcom.
Everything, yeah. So that is when she walks in the house and she's like, "Where's the nog? I need to get married."
Yeah. Show me where the nog is. Time to get married.
So she walks into the dining room, makes a comment that it looks like Martha Stewart threw up in here. Tom takes notice that they're short a kid, and he's like, don't you have another? And he's talking to Linda, and she's like, "Oh, honey, we forgot the baby." So Tom and Howard go out to the car, get baby Chrissy.
Hate when that happens.
So now there's a baby in the mix as well, and that's when Sarah also kind of starts to berate Linda for bringing Aunt Dorothy without warning because she's like, well, it's Christmas, she's got nowhere to go. And actually, she kind of ambushed us. Like, we came to the door to grab presents from her. She shows up with her bag.
Yeah, we came there to pick up presents and drop some off, and she had a bag.
Yeah. And we see that the two sisters are kind of fighting a little bit, and that's when Linda
They're
states...
bickering.
They're bickering,
Yeah.
and that's when she states, that she thinks everything that she does is a mistake.
So, quick question.
Yes, sir.
Because I think it's important. We've learned a lot about you this holiday.
Fuck.
Least favorite relative. Go.
No comment. No comment.
Are you sure?
Yes.
We're almost an hour into the show.
No
If
comment.
you don't like them, they probably don't like you enough to listen to your podcast.
I mean, that's fair. After last week's episode of what I unfolded on the show with my drunken shenanigans story, I'm good this week.
Just wait till you see the clip I made of it.
I can't fucking wait.
Actually, it's already on the Dropbox.
Is it?
Enjoy.
Oh, I think I looked at it earlier then. Shit. So they all sit down to dinner as Howie Jr.'s chugging from a Mountain Dew 2-liter. He belches, and Howard's like, yeah, that's my boy. And that's when he talks about Tom's past with the Eagle Scouts because Tom tries to defend it, stating that it was survival training. Howard's like, the only survival training he needs is his smoke pole, which is his shotgun.
You should start calling something you have a smoke pole. I don't care what it is, but you need to be saying smoke pole more.
And that's when Linda also starts more bickering with Sarah about the food being too fancy, and she's like, nothing's wrong with mac and cheese. Stevie tells...
No, she says, I'm sorry, I thought you'd like a change from
mac and cheese,
with hot dogs
and Dorothy's like, nope, don't think so.
No, she just says, whatever.
Yeah.
No, that's actually a really important moment.
No, Dorothy the aunt. She's... Yeah.
Oh, well, but I mean, when she tells her sister...
Yeah.
I just want to point out that this is a really worthwhile moment because when she says that to her and she says, okay, whatever, she's basically calling her sister white trash.
Yeah.
But as the movie goes on, we realize that her sister and her husband, like, they don't have a lot of money.
No.
Like, they're not, because meanwhile, their family's very wealthy.
Yeah.
Of course, they have that classic, they're very wealthy, but they're not happy.
Mm-hmm.
But I just want to mention, like, that little moment where she says, oh, okay, whatever, to her, like, was just a really great moment of her trying to deflect something that could really hurt your feelings.
Yeah.
Because nobody wants the Cornish game hens.
Well, it's the
that
thing
she
you pointed out,
prepared.
they're basically having a ref dinner that's more fine-tuned.
It's very similar to the ref. Yeah, what they were eating at dinner. Yeah, it's not, most people are not expecting to get a Cornish game hen on Christmas Eve. Although I'm not going to lie,
Delicious.
I would appreciate the thought because that's like a very outside the box Christmassy meal.
Just want to wrap up a Cornish game hen now and give it to you for Christmas.
It'd be nice to
fresh,
get something
just
I
wrapped
want
in a box.
I mean, as long as it's dressed so I can cook it, I'm in.
Oh no, it'd be cooked. I would put it cooked and put it in the box.
Like a rotisserie Cornish game.
Yeah.
A rotisserie Cornish game hen. Oh, I just had $1 billion idea. Finally.
So that's when Stevie takes the opportunity to tell Max that she heard that Santa's sleigh got shot down and that there's not going to be a Christmas this year and that actually he had to eat his reindeer to stay alive.
He ate Rudolph
first. So that's when Beth tries to intervene because Max is about to go over the table and get at her. In the kitchen, Dorothy asks Sarah, what she's making because we see that Sarah is finishing off some creme brulees. And that's when Dorothy is like, all this fancy food always ties up, my insides. And she's like,
gums up my plumbing.
We can always go, have Christmas at your trailer, and like goes off on her.
Yeah, well, and while I think that's, that's pretty damn harsh.
Yeah.
It seems like her aunt, she has some legitimate grievances with, as to where her sister, she's really mean to her.
Mean to her sister, yeah.
Yeah.
And we also get our first instance of the naughty cut because in the PG-13 cut, she tells her to get the hell out of her kitchen. In the naughty cut, it's get the fuck out of my kitchen.
Yeah. She got to go full Collette.
Full Collette.
Toni Collette.
Full Collette indeed. So that is when Dorothy, tries to smooth things over and she's like, no, I just don't want to talk about it. So at this point, Stevie reveals that she has grabbed Max's letter and she reads it aloud. And we find out that he is wishing that he and Beth could hang out like they used to and be friends like they used to. We also find out that he doesn't have many friends. He wishes his parents could fall back in love again because with his dad working so much, he's away from the house. His mom's alone. And then it gets to the point where she goes into the letter seeing that he wishes that it wasn't so hard for Uncle Howard and Aunt Linda and maybe they could have something good happen to them this year.
Yeah.
She flips over the letter, reads it to herself, and says, "Screw you, Dad does not wish we were boys."
He does.
Yeah.
It's so. I mean, he's raising them like boys.
Yeah.
But no, other than that part, it's such a heartbreakingly sweet because it's like, your stupid letter to Santa.
Yeah.
I just wish my mom and dad would love each other again. I just wish that my aunt and uncle would have an easier time in life. You're just like, who's the asshole?
Yeah.
Well, give you one guess.
So Sarah comes in with her creme brulees finished, and that's when Max takes the opportunity to leap across the table. So there's a whole brawl between him and Stevie trying to get the letter away from him, and he gets his letter back, and that's when he basically tells the family, I hate this family, I hate Christmas, I just wanted things to be like they used to, but forget it, and runs off to his room.
Yeah, and believe it or not, this might actually matter.
I love this, though, because everybody's like just shocked, and Dorothy's like, the kid said what we're all thinking. I don't know why we're all pretending.
Yeah, he said the truth.
So Tom goes to check in on Max, reminding him that they're only here for till after Christmas, and he's like, so it's only, 3 days.
I love that's his dad that said that. He's like, hey, they're only here till after Christmas, so that's only 3 days.
And then they'll be gone.
Yeah, but I love he just goes, wow. Like,
so Max questions, why do they invite them every year if this is what they go through? Nobody, appears to like anybody. And that's when he basically pitches the idea of, goodwill during the holidays. They are family. We try to be a little more loving. And that's when he even encourages him, hey, there's still time to drop your letter in the mailbox for Santa. And we think that he's going to do that. So Max folds his letter, he seals it, and then suddenly begins to rip it up.
Yeah, and it's pretty heartbreaking.
It's pretty heartbreaking. He goes out to the window, throws the letter remnants out into the clouds, and that's when they get sucked up into the sky, which starts to turn black. A cloud forms, wind picks up, snow starts to fall, and we watch the entire neighborhood house by house lose power.
Do You Even Movie will be right back. Welcome back to Do You Even Movie?
Real quick, I want to mention.
Yeah.
In my movie, Nothing Good Ever Happens, one of the few things that people commented on playfully upset were the children's letter to Santa
Claus. What? They don't go anywhere.
Yeah, it's a scene where these two friends are getting together. They're gonna have a fire pit.
Yeah.
And he's like, I brought the kindling, and he's a postal worker. He has the uniform, and he pulls out a bunch of mail and starts putting it in the fire pit. He's like, you can't burn other people's mail. He's like, dude, they're just children's letters to Santa. And he's like, that's so horrible. He's like, there is no Santa
Claus.
These
right?
don't go anywhere, right?
Yeah. I remember how happy you were to write that because I came over and you were just like, I just wrote the funniest line.
I didn't even know that was I didn't even know that was the joke I was going with. Yeah, there's no Santa Claus, right? These letters, nobody reads these letters.
So the houses lose power, and I do want to point out, I'll talk about it later in my trivia for the movie, but there is a bunch of cinematic houses mixed into the digital house mix of the film.
Yeah, I would call them Easter eggs.
Easter eggs.
Yeah.
And one of the Easter eggs that I showed Hen on this watch is the house right next to their house when the power starts going out. You can even see it right before it happens, is the Amityville house.
Yes, and I will say, I am a bit of a whatever you would call a sommelier of Amityville.
Yes. I would say so.
I mean, look, have you even lived until you've had a member of the Lutz family threaten to kill you?
Homie, we could walk out to your kitchen right now and see 4 original Amityville posters, the sequel posters, mind you.
Yeah, and I have one more that I just don't know where to put.
I know.
So
you have posters you don't know where to hang? What?
Just beat the hell out of you. But I want to mention that, I mean, it's not even vaguely coincidental because for those who don't know, the Amityville house, the famous Amityville house, is a Dutch colonial style house.
Yeah.
There aren't a ton of them in Ohio, but actually near my neighborhood, we have about 10 or 15.
Okay.
Now, the big difference though is those half crescent windows.
Yeah.
Which are literally like a fourth of a moon.
Yeah.
Basically. It's you take a circle and cut it into 4. That's what really gives it that oomph. But they went one step further, and not only did it have the windows, but it also had the outstretched kind of, I think it's a gazebo.
Yeah.
It's like a covered porch.
Yeah.
That goes out from the front. So it like really, somebody didn't just put a Dutch colonial in.
Yeah.
Because that could have happened too.
Absolutely.
It would just be like, we need house models. And they just pick some houses.
Yeah.
But no, it really looks like the Ocean Avenue Amityville horror house.
Yeah, the reason they're Easter eggs is because he didn't want to get clearance for, all their rights.
Oh, yeah, let me tell you. When I got the clearance to make Amityville No Escape.
Yeah. Yeah.
What were the other cinematic houses?
Myers house.
The grocery store?
Oh my God. The Griswolds.
Okay.
And I believe I've got one more in my notes, I think.
I'm surprised it wasn't the Nightmare on Elm Street house, because that one's a very clear look.
He didn't specify how many. He just said they're in there, and if you got the time to pause and look, you'll see them.
Well, he wouldn't really need to clear the rights. Those movies didn't own those houses anyway. They just took photos of them, basically.
Yeah. So the next morning, Max looks out his window to see a snowstorm is still raging on, and he also sees that there's a snowman out in the front yard.
Let's build a snowman. We'll make him our best friend.
God, I need to revisit Cannibal. He goes downstairs as his mom is going on about the surprise of the snowstorm. She's like, how can meteorologists not be able to call this, blah, 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 blah. And, she's upset because everybody's without power on the block. Max brings their attention to the snowman, and he also gets asked by Omi, to get Omi out of the fireplace.
She is like right up in the fireplace. Also, it's never spelled out.
Yeah.
But it sounds like Omi may be having cognitive issues.
I could see that.
Well, because later on, we'll get to it very soon.
Yeah.
But because this movie books, it is a fast-paced film. But there's a part where when they're going to go out and she's like, please don't go out. He says, everything's going to be okay. My wife, I forget the wife's name, but Sarah and Max will be here to look after you. He says they'll look after you.
Yeah.
Which makes me think that maybe Omi gets confused sometimes.
I could see that.
Maybe Omi doesn't understand things. Also, I just thought about this now. Let me tell you a cute David story.
Oh no.
It was the third time you had committed felony tax evasion.
Oh, is that a fact?
No, I should have picked a crime that has like no statute of limitations. No, but when we first watched this movie, you were very confused. We haven't mentioned Omi speaks German.
German, yeah.
She does not. Oh, she eventually speaks some English, but
she's one of my favorite lines.
Doesn't speak German. Or she speaks German, and at one point you were very perturbed.
Yeah.
You were kind of like, she's speaking German.
Yeah, because Max was speaking English to her.
Everybody's speaking English to her.
And
later on, her son speaks a little German to her.
He does, yeah.
To comfort her. But generally, she's the only one in the house speaking German, and it becomes clear that it probably only Thomas and Max speak it fluently or somewhat conversationally. And you were very perturbed. You were like, why is she speaking German and nobody else is whatever? And I realized, like, at first I thought I was laughing at you. I love you to death. I really do. And you're no, because we have very different life experiences.
Yeah, exactly.
But you just had never really you had never really seen a multilingual household.
Yeah.
And now this definition of multilingual household is my definition. I don't know if this is the definition everybody else uses.
Yeah.
But in a multilingual household, generally it's different from a bilingual, because it doesn't mean that everybody speaks each other's languages, but it means that there's a general understanding of the language.
Yeah.
So you speak the language you're most comfortable with because you're home and you're relaxing.
Makes sense.
And a lot of times elder family members do that. But something that just dawned on me as we're talking about this show right now is one element of when people have dementia is they tend to struggle with second languages.
Yeah, that's very true.
And because sometimes they'll get confused and they'll think they're still even if it was 30 or 40 years, they'll think they're in their home country.
Yeah.
So it's possible that one of the reasons she's leaned into just speaking German, it could be that that's just the way she likes it, or it could be that that's much easier for her because she's having trouble concentrating, stuff like that. Because if you look at her, while she does a lot of things, she is just kind of in the background. She makes cookies.
Yeah.
She hangs out with the kids. She does it's clear that something is up. And I like that it's all subtext. I like that there's no part where like, when she starts saying like, I know what this is Krampus and all this stuff, I like that there's never a moment where like Thomas takes one of the characters aside and says like, Omi doesn't understand what's going on. I like that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
I like that because it's like, no, we get to take things at the value we see.
Yeah.
And I've seen this movie like 9, 10, 11 times. And this is the first time I went, maybe that's because Omi's having a little bit of trouble understanding what's going on in general. So she speaks German.
No,
anyway,
absolutely could be.
Sorry, it just that just hit me right now.
Yeah. So Sarah's freaking out because they don't have any power, and she's like, what are we going to do? And even Howard is like, yeah, what are we going to eat? And she's like, well, there's plenty of leftovers. And he goes, oh, beer it is then.
Yeah, just cracks open a morning beer. What time of the morning is the best time for a beer? When's it the most refreshing? You can now remember the rules.
I'm going to answer honestly from experience.
Okay, because the rules of the game are you can exchange this question and answer who the relative is you love the least.
No, I'll take the beer question. The earliest that I have cracked a beer and it has tasted delicious, given this was on a holiday, because I think it was either Christmas or it was Thanksgiving. I can't remember which.
Okay.
There's nothing better than a 10:30 beer.
In the shower. Or on the toilet.
It could be, yes. I mean, I am no stranger to shower beers.
You know, I had a shower fresco once. I was not that impressed.
Shower wine's my favorite, the entire bottle. I did that during quarantine when I was going through rough times.
Oh, my. A whole bottle of wine in the shower?
I posted that shit on Facebook because I thought I was funny.
Yeah, white people usually do.
Yeah. I didn't drink the entire bottle in the shower. I just brought the entire bottle with me.
Right. And then you polished it off in your chair while listening to vinyl records and remembering.
Fuck, you're so right, though.
Dude, because I had a pandemic too, David. I just don't drink. I still went down the depths of human understanding of mortality and sadness. I just wasn't drunk.
I totally remember listening to a record and tipping that bottle up.
Dave, I might know you a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit.
The trick is, it's kind of like, you know how George Costanza, he figured out the trick to success in life was do the opposite of whatever comes natural because he was such a screw up?
Yeah.
I've learned if I assume the absolute worst of you, nailed it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Do You Even Movie will be right back. Welcome back to Do You Even Movie?
So suddenly a knock rings out, and a delivery man from DHL, and yes, it is DHL.
I wonder, I want to know what they paid. Are you wiping tears out of your eyes?
Maybe my eye stings a little bit.
Oh, do you put some wine in it?
I'm good.
But no, it's DHL. Like, we see the logo.
Yeah.
The guy comes, and all I could think was, I wonder what they paid for that.
Yeah.
So anyway.
So he has packages. Linda signs for them. Howard helps her. And that's also when they note this older-looking Santa sack that's on the porch. And they ask the guy, and he's like, my eye's really burning. Give me a second.
I can't do that for you. Yeah. Guys, Dave has made it very clear what he thinks of all of you, and during the holidays.
Of no less, I know. So they notice a really old-looking Santa sack, and the DHL's guy's like, somebody else must have brought that earlier. So they bring everything inside.
He actually says, it must have been the boys in brown.
Yeah.
Which makes me think even more they paid for it, because they wouldn't say UPS.
Nope.
I love it.
So that's when they bring everything inside, and Beth questions about going to see her boyfriend Derek because he's not responding, and she's worried. And at first, Sarah's like, I don't know if it's a good idea for you to be wandering outside. And Adam, Scott's character, Tom, is just like, let her go, give her an hour, and then, come back. And so they decide that they're going to go ahead and let her out. Omi surprises everyone by whipping up a batch of hot chocolate.
Yeah, it turns out that's what she was doing at the fireplace. She was keeping the fire really hot and then making hot chocolate. And her line is, she says everything is better with hot chocolate.
Yeah.
Now, while Dave is dealing with a personal crisis live on the show, I want to point out something about product placement that I love. So something like DHL getting a product placement, I'm keeping Dave on camera because it's funny.
Shut up.
Something about, DHL's product placement is great.
Yeah.
This whole idea, it's like, let's put the delivery service that pays us the most in here. But did you see The Whale?
Yes. I know what you're about to say.
When I saw The Whale with Brendan Fraser in the theater, he eats a box of crispy, crunchy chicken. The chain of chicken restaurants that's being established in gas stations mostly.
Yeah.
The food's actually really pretty good.
Oh, it's really good.
They have not paid me, but I would happily accept money in the form of chicken, honestly. And that goes for anybody. Nike, if you want to hire me, pay me in chicken. But my point is, when I saw that, I was with our buddy Jeff, and I turned to him and I said, Jeff, if we don't see a bunch more food labels in this movie, then they paid to be the food that this man is killing himself with in the movie. And then 3 or 4 scenes later, he pulls open his drawer of candy bars and they're all labeled down.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my, who at Crispy Crunchy Chicken was like, well, we'd like to do product placement. Okay, what's the movie about? Guy who eats himself until he dies. Okay. And you want him to eat your product. Yes.
Yeah. Got it.
And it kills him. Yes, overeating kills him. But our product would be seen in the hands of the man dying from eating it. Yes. $100,000.
Yeah. That's probably how it went down.
Oh, gosh.
So that is when outside, Beth starts walking through the storm, and the storm is raging on. We see every house is without power, also covered in snow and ice. And as she's making her way further down, it gets darker. And she begins to hear sleigh bells.
Slables.
Slables.
Slables, kids.
Starts to hear sleigh bells. And then suddenly something lands on the house behind her. She watches and turns as she sees this creature stand up, look at her, and then leaps across the way onto the roof of the other house.
And I love that he's crouched like a gargoyle.
Yeah.
I love that when he leaps, you hear the sleigh bells jingling, but they're not normal sleigh bells. They're thicker.
Yeah.
They're more hard metal. So it makes a bassier sound, which that alone makes you think it's more serious.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely does. So she takes off running and screaming while the creature keeps on her path. She's going down the street. It's jumping from roof to roof to roof. She comes up to the DHL truck, clearing the window, and sees that the guy is frozen dead inside with fear. Like
he's frozen,
screaming.
like in the middle of a scream, frozen solid.
Yeah. So that's when she quickly hides under the truck. The creature drops down beside her, and we only see its feet as it circles the truck a couple times, and Beth puts her hand over her mouth to avoid screaming. The creature then suddenly disappears as Beth looks both ways, making sure the coast is clear. She becomes uneasy, though, as beside her, a jack-in-the-box starts to go along with its tune.
Yes, and this is one of the reasons I think Dougherty was the perfect director for a project like this.
Yeah.
Because he's so good at taking the iconography and running with it, and going, and not just doing the things you're expecting. He goes further. The design of these killer toys, he just keeps going with it. So you get the Jack in the Box and the teddy bear, and you get all those things which are really scary. But like later on, there's a Christmas angel.
Yeah,
that's terrifying.
Cherub, yeah,
which I think is like I've never seen that before.
No.
So I'm just saying, like, I love that he keeps running with it, this idea that, like, everything is like Christmas from hell.
Yeah, no, and going back to the thing you were saying about Christmas and Halloween, Christmas songs alone, even if you fuck with the beats of them or the tunes of them, they're creepy. Even standalone or being, what's the word I want to use?
Jingle bells, jingle bells.
Being manipulated. Like, there's some very creepy Christmas tunes out there. So,
well, a lot of Christmas songs come from really dark periods.
Times.
I mean, oh gosh, I think it might have been Carol of the Bells was originally a Ukrainian. It might have been that one.
That sounds
There's
right.
a famous Christmas carol that was originally a Ukrainian ballet, and that ballet was performed right when like the Red Scare started.
Yeah,
it makes it infinitely more sad because that means that when it was being performed in front of Americans for the first time, the Ukrainian, and I apologize if it wasn't Carol of the Bells, I can't remember exactly which one it was, but that means that when they were performing it for the first time in America, touring the country, their country was gone. It had been absorbed.
Yeah.
They couldn't go home.
God.
They didn't even have passports anymore that existed. Their home nation had been absorbed by the Soviet Union.
Yeah.
So they're doing a dance and a performance to celebrate the Ukrainian culture because Ukraine has been conquered and annexed for so long. Thank goodness that's over.
Jesus.
Sorry, I know it's a dark joke, but fuck it. I like, what else can I say about that? But
wasn't Silent Night related to like a plague, I want to say?
I think you're thinking of Ring Around the Rosies.
Oh, it might be.
It might also be Silent Night. But my point is, there are a lot of those, and a lot of them are just very powerful classical pieces, and classical music tends to have the ability to bring up a lot of like darkness as well. So anyway, I have so many tangents today.
So the Jack in the Box starts playing a creepy version of Silent Night, and then it stops. The lid opens, and we start to see something literally start moving out of the top of it. She lets out a scream, and the camera goes above as we see the truck shaking back and forth while she's screaming, and we hear some creature sounds. So then we cut away from Beth. Back at the house, Max sees another snowman outside. Tom looks out the window, noticing that there are no cars, no people, not even a salt truck. And Sarah states that it's getting late and Beth should be home soon. But Tom tells her not to worry and ask about everyone else. And Sarah tells him they're cranky and bored of each other, but still okay for the most part.
They're going to make it after all. By the way, I was correct.
Okay.
It was Carol of the Bells was converted from Scheidrich, which I'm saying wrong, which was a New Year's song
Okay.
from Ukraine.
Okay.
So anyway, I just want to mention that because I actually got it right. My buddy George Robb,
Yeah.
he told me that story.
Oh, no shit. Okay.
That's why I remember it, because he's Ukrainian.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So Tom states 'tis the season. Outside, a siren begins to wail, and that's when Max asks about Beth. And in the living room, Omi is stoking the fire up. She's keeping that fire going as Tom asks Howard about his car. He's like, do you think your car could make it in this weather? And he's like, Lucinda, I could have her pointed due north and storming the beaches of Normandy by
he said,
by
I could
the
point
night.
that car due east and we'd be storming Normandy by the morning.
Yeah.
What's your plan? What I love about this sequence is they clearly don't get along super well or respect each other really well. But when he says, like, it seems like we got to do something and my daughter's not here, he's immediately like, what are we going to do?
What are we going to do?
Like he's immediately his Huckleberry. He's like, and I love that in movies, especially that moment where like family becomes family.
Yeah.
Where it's like, well, we don't know where she is. And like the person you don't like is like, well, let's go find him.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
And this is where Omi tries to stop Tom from going out, saying it's not safe, but Tom tells her not to worry, everything's going to be okay, Max and Sarah will be here with you. So Max takes Oma's shaking hand, because Omi's hand is shaking at this point.
Yeah, she's scared.
So that's an attempt to calm her. In Howard's Hummer, Tom and Howard drive the street, and they find nothing on the radio minus a recorded message about a weather storm moving in.
Yes, which reminded me that the film takes place in Ohio, which I had forgotten.
Yep.
And then to make me even stupider, I remember Trick or Treat was in Ohio.
Yeah.
I remembered that. But then I was like, both of these are in Ohio. And then I pulled up Michael Dougherty and I was like, born in Columbus, Ohio. Yep. Okay, well then I get it.
So that's when they come across a snowplow on the road that has been abandoned. The door is open, and there's also a hole in the windshield. And that's when Howard makes the comment. He's like, oh man, he must have flew through it. And that's when Tom says, look at the glass. He wasn't thrown through. He was pulled out. Something busted through.
Yeah, no, and that's a really great, scary moment, because everything about from the moment Krampus takes over the neighborhood is hyper gothic, hyper creepy, and so Christmassy.
So Howard goes to the rear of his Hummer and he pulls out a shotgun, and that's when Tom's like, you bought guns on Christmas vacation? And he's like, always be prepared.
Right, Boy Scout?
So that's when he gives him a gun, and he's like, it's really heavy. He's like, yeah, it's Linda's. So Linda and Sarah back at the house reminisce about the angel, because Linda notices that the angel on top of the tree is their mother's, and she's like, oh, you kept Mom's angel. They have a really sweet moment together, and this is when you had mentioned the thing about them kind of coming together in regards to, I was always jealous of your life. Well, I was jealous of your life.
And they gave us so much more of that in the naughty cut, which is ironic that in the naughty cut they put more of people being kind to each other as well.
Yeah.
But no, and there's a moment where she just kind of says, like, I've always been, she kind of says, like, are you jealous of us? And she's like, well, you guys, you just get along so well, and all this stuff. And her sister just kind of laughs and goes, grass is always greener, huh?
Yeah, because she 3 years younger than her, 3 times the kids.
Yeah. But of course, her response is like exasperation.
Yeah.
And her sister's response is like, you're lucky, you know? And that's one thing is, like, even though her husband is very rough around the edges, it does appear like he loves the shit out of them.
Yeah.
And he's a good provider for them by and large. One of my favorite things, and it's a subtle thing, is if you watch when Koechner's character is sitting around, almost half of the time he's in the living room, he's holding the baby.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a great symbolic way of saying, like, he is not like a passive father. No. He's like into it. He may not be perfect, like he likes to pass the kid off when he's full of poop, but he seems to like, he comes across as a good dad to me.
He's a great character in this.
Do You Even Movie will be right back. Welcome back to Do You Even Movie?
That is when, she states that it's nice having her around. Sarah tells Omi not to use all the firewood and they need to save it, and that's when Omi's just like,
Yeah.
So suddenly sounds begin to come from the attic, drawing everyone's attention, and Sarah's like, oh, it's probably squirrels, and that's when they hear a giant slam, and Dorothy questions, squirrels in this weather? And the bang happens and shakes the whole house, and that's when she's like, yeah, it was probably squirrels. Omi looks up the chimney, and we cut away.
Yeah, and Omi has been saying consistently, the fire has to be hot.
Keep the fire going.
Well, not going, hot.
Hot, yeah. So Tom and Howard arrive at Derek's house, which they find completely empty and just frozen inside, completely iced over.
Yeah, iced over outside and inside.
Inside. So that's when he calls to Beth, and Tom does not hear anything. Howard doesn't hear anything either. Howard is visibly uneasy. He's gripping his gun as he's making his way. Even more so when they see a gingerbread on a fridge with a knife stuck in it.
Yeah, which I'm going to assume that if you're listening to this, watching this, you've seen the movie.
Yeah.
Out of context, just a gingerbread man knifed to a wall.
Giant butcher knife.
looks really disturbing.
Really creepy.
Like some sick maniac would terrorize a family and then stab a gingerbread man to a wall. Now, of course, we find out very soon that the gingerbread men are alive and murderous.
Yes.
But at that moment, I remember the first time I watched it, thinking how creepy it was that a gingerbread man was pinned to a wall with a butcher knife.
So Tom finds a picture of Derek and Beth from prom, and he sees it's like covered in ice and everything. And Howard sees that he's uneasy. He's like, hey man, it'll be okay. We'll find her. Howard then notices a hole above the fireplace, and when I say a hole, it has cracked open completely. So he's like, oh, gas line blew.
And it looks like something huge went through it,
and that's when they notice that there are hoof prints in the snow below it, and that's when he's like, I've been hunting game all my life, I've never seen hoofs that big. He's like, it looks like a goat. And that's when Tom has the best trailer line of the whole movie. What kind of goat walks on its hind legs?
Tom the goat.
So
Tom the goat.
Suddenly outside, they hear sounds of Beth screaming for help. They run, they start trekking through the snow, and Howard is suddenly pulled by something under the snow. And he's pulled away, acting fast. Tom grabs his gun out of the snow, and he tries to free him by firing a couple shots. He pulls him free as Howard states something is biting him. Quickly thinking, Tom uses the pistol, fires several more shots, releases Howard, and that also alerts the rest of the house that something's wrong because they hear the shots.
Yes.
So Tom and Howard go back onto the street, finding Howard's car completely smashed and on fire now. Sarah goes to get her coat on to join them outside, and that's when Howard and Tom burst through the door. Howard's hysterical, tells them to find anything to arm them, found knives, bats, and that's when Tom's like, hey, not in front of the kids, man.
Yeah, he's saying like swords, knives, anything, and he's like, calm down. Which I really like too, because again, there's that moment where he's like, I respect that, that this is what we should be doing. Like, you're not an idiot.
Yeah. So Sarah sends the kids into the kitchen, even requests Aunt Dorothy to look after them. And that's when she's like, all right, kids, come on. I'll teach you how to make peppermint schnapps. So Tom requests also that Omi go with them. And Omi tells him simply keep the fire hot.
Yes. And that's very important.
Yeah. So in the kitchen, Dorothy is in fact teaching the kids how to make peppermint schnapps. And we see that Howie Jr.'s looking over and she's like, all right, I'll give you a sip, but don't rat on me.
Her peppermint schnapps is schnapps.
A candy cane.
And, a schnapps in hot chocolate.
Hot chocolate, yep.
With a candy cane used to stir it.
Yep.
A little sweet, a little spice makes it nice.
So Max listens to his parents and the relatives discuss what just happened. Tom tells Sarah they couldn't find Beth and they will find her after the storm calms down. But Sarah wants to go out immediately. But Howard shows her his hand and he's like, this was only 4 minutes out there and it's almost frostbite. Like, this is not the weather to go out in. So that's when Howard tells Linda about Lucinda. Tom asks about the ammo, and he's like, I got a few shells in my pocket, a couple in the Hummer, or no, I guess he did say a couple in the car, but I guess that doesn't mean anything now.
Yeah, because the car's gone.
Yeah. So he states a couple shells in his pockets, and Tom suggests that they stay put and wait for morning. And that's when he looks at his wife. Howard looks at his wife, and he goes, "We should have gone to visit my brother." And she's like, "Spending Christmas on a pig farm? Hey, Jesus was born in a barn."
I love that line. That's such a perfect family argument line.
So that's when they decide to have everyone camp out in the living room. They're going to stick together. Sarah brings some extra blankets for the kids. They're watching a Christmas video on their iPad, and even Sarah's like, well, isn't the battery going to die? And Linda's like, well, it's got to die at some point. Might as well enjoy it. So that's when she tells her, Beth's a tough girl. She takes after her mom. Meanwhile, Tom is boarding up the windows, and Howard thanks him for saving his ass. He's like, you really showed out there. Like, I appreciate it. And that's when Max asks Tom about Omi's behavior. And Tom tells him, she always gets a little weird around Christmas, but we'll never talk about why.
Yeah. Yeah. And don't worry, kids. We find out why.
Yeah. Max and his dad share a hug as he goes to join the rest of the living room. Howard suggests that one of them stay up and keep watch, even volunteering to be the first to do it. So some time passes and we see that everyone has fallen asleep. Silent Night is playing on the iPad. We see the iPad's at 1%. Suddenly the iPad goes dead. The fire goes out and we start to hear some sounds in the chimney.
Some jing-jang jingling.
Some jing-jang jingling as a chain drops down. We see a hook on the end of it. The chain keeps going down. And then we see a gingerbread man is in the middle of the chain. And we hear some shakes. We hear some rattles and some bells and even some voices calling. And Howie Jr. is the one to wake up. And Howie Jr. walks over to the fireplace, takes the gingerbread man, takes him and pulls him towards him and takes a bite out of his head when suddenly the gingerbread man comes to life.
Kid's basically a trout.
Yeah.
Oh, a thing on a hook.
Yeah.
Ow.
So he takes a bite of the gingerbread man, it comes to life, and suddenly it just starts wrapping the chains all around Howie, and, Howie's trying to get free, and suddenly the gingerbread man whistles, and that's when the chain comes to life, pulling his ass right up the chimney.
Yeah. I mean, as if it weren't shocking enough that the gingerbread man's alive.
Yeah. So Howie is yanked up the chimney, awaking everyone. Howard and Tom rush, along with Sarah, and they're trying to pull him free. Howie is screaming as he's going up.
Oh, it's okay. It's tough. Hey. We're all here for you, pal.
Shut up. A smoldering log is kicked from the fireplace, rolling under the Christmas tree, setting the Christmas tree ablaze and all the presents. In the chimney, Sarah holds Howie by a shoe, but suddenly sees the gingerbread man, which is like taunting her and laughing at her. And that's when Howie is pulled up, the shoe drops down, Max goes to get the fire extinguisher to put out the tree, and Tom and Max tend to Sarah as Linda tends to Howard, who is blaming himself. He's like, I fell asleep. They got my son. And that's when Howard has had enough.
Yes, and it's time to kick some booty butt.
So Omi suddenly brings the fireplace back to life, and she tells them that this is actually everyone's fault in a sense. And then she tells them a story of her childhood in a village, and we see a really cool Rankin-Bass-esque flashback.
It almost looked more like Coraline to me.
Coraline-esque, yeah.
It's very much in like that kind of digital, but it looks like claymation kind of style. And we witness her life in the old country. And how they were struggling.
Yeah.
And her parents were always fighting.
She gets a piece of bread. It causes a huge fight in the city. She goes home that night with her little Santa doll, and her parents fight over it, ended up like ripping the head off of it. And that's when she basically says, we had lost our Christmas spirit. We had lost everything. The town was fighting, or my parents were fighting. They'd given up, and honestly, so had I. And we see her throw the doll on the fire. It turns to ash immediately. The ash goes up the chimney and then goes into the sky, replicating exactly what Max did with his letter.
Yes.
So that's when she says that, she didn't realize it, but she was summoning the shadow of St. Nicholas, Krampus. And he came that night, taking her parents away to the underworld. And she hears this while she's cowering in her bed. And she was worried that she was going to be next, but that's when she says, no, what actually happened was I was left as a warning to remind people what happens if Christmas cheer or if good spirit is lost again.
And she was left with a Krampus bell.
Krampus bell, which falls down the chimney after her parents have been taken away. So we cut back to reality, and we see Omi is holding that exact same bell. Howard does not believe this. He's like, I don't believe in Christmas fairy tales. You believe this shit? And like he is ready to go fight.
Yeah. And I want to say they really leaned into that old world concept.
Yeah.
Of Krampus, because think about with modern sensibility what that story is saying. It's saying when you live in a world where everything is hard and you're starving and your family are fighting and you feel like there's nothing left to live for.
Yeah.
If you lose your Christmas spirit because everything is shit, you get punished for it.
You get punished.
Not something good should come because you're so sad. No, it's like, oh, your life is so hard. Well, if you lose hope, it's going to get worse.
Well, and Omi
so old school Europe
even says in her flashback that she didn't wish for things to get better. She wished for her parents to go away.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, talk about that old world European idea of like your suffering will also be punished.
It reminds me of the Family Guy German fairy tales where it's like, there once was a boy who sucked his thumbs. Then his mother cut off his thumbs. Now he has no thumbs. Good night.
Yeah. Pretty much. And then if you get the Russian version after it's been translated, then it got infected, and instead of him dying, his mother died. Vlos Madonia.
Do You Even Movie will be right back. Welcome back to Do You Even Movie?
That is when Howard's ready to go back out, and Tom tries to stop it, and that's when Howard actually turns his gun on him, and he says, hey man, I'm just getting ready to like you, like don't fuck this up. Like I like you, like this is my son, I'm going out there. So he unbars the doors, going out into the storm, only to see a plethora of snowmen have now appeared in the yard.
Yeah, like more than a dozen.
We even see some little elf creatures wandering the grounds, and that's when Sarah pulls him back in and tells everyone not to open the door anymore. So Max asks what they do now, and Tom states they keep the fire hot. So we see it's now Christmas Eve as the storm still rages on outside. Max offers his cousin some candy, some leftover Halloween candy, which, another Easter egg, Sam's sucker is in the Halloween candy stash.
I love that.
And that's when he also, he notices everyone's sitting around uneasy. Stevie and Jordan take the opportunity to go to Omi with a question. And we don't see what the question is right away, but when we cut back, Omi is basically being asked, if we did all these naughty things, can we do anything to undo them? Is what the kids want to know.
Well, and I think we missed the part about where they said, "Oh, look, English."
Yeah,
like yeah. When she starts telling the story, she tells it in English.
Yeah,
and it's just a really funny part where the aunt is just like, "Oh, I knew she spoke English."
Yeah. So that is when, in the kitchen, Tom grabs a city map, and he's telling Sarah that he's got an idea. Steve and Jordan question about their naughty behaviors and if they can fix it, and that's when Omi tells them it's not what they do, it's what they believe that will save them. So Dorothy chimes in, okay, I guess we're fucked then.
Truer words never spoken.
So Linda is rewrapping gifts in the attic. She comes across a box that she doesn't recognize, and she begins to hear another Jack in the Box tune inside it. She goes to open the box, but that's when Sarah comes up telling her that Tom wants to talk to everyone. So Tom goes over his plan to get in the snowplow. They're going to clear a path to the mall or the police station because the mall's an emergency spot. If that's bad, they're going to go to the police station. And if that's bad, they're just going to keep driving until they can find help and bring some back.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite moments is just after Oma tells that story and everybody's like, that's bullcrap. And then they look outside and see all the snowmen.
Yeah.
I just love that part where they say, what are we going to do? And Tom's like, we keep the fire hot. Mm-hmm. Like he's like, I might believe this because I'm running out of ideas.
Now, dear listener and viewer, if you have gotten this far and you have not seen Krampus at this point, we are getting to a critical point where this movie really goes balls to the wall insane that I am happy to talk about, but I just want to give you this opportunity that if you have not seen this movie, stop the podcast now because this next scene is what makes the movie.
This is why Dave is a great co-host. He tells people to stop listening to the show.
Always. So meanwhile, up in the attic, we see the presents begin to shake, and we hear evil laughs and rattles, and we know that something is about to happen. Max, looking outside through a pair of binoculars, sees Krampus on a roof, and he goes back real quick because he goes right over him, and he goes back, and the figure is gone. So Jordan asks Stevie to accompany her to the bathroom because Aunt Dorothy has clogged the one downstairs, and that's when she's like, well, you don't want to go alone? And she's like, well, so they go off together. In the kitchen, Linda starts to hear something through the vents that's coming from the attic, and Stevie and Jordan walk down the hallway to the bathroom when suddenly a little voice calls to them from upstairs and is like, Stevie, Jordan. And they think it's Beth. And they're like, where have you been? Like, everybody's been looking for you. And the voice is like, come up here. I've been waiting for you guys. So fucking creepy. So their screams suddenly ring out as the adults return to the living room, finding them missing. They give Dorothy some guff for letting them go by themselves. And that's when Tom, armed with the pistol, and Sarah and Linda make their way to the steps, and they tell Howard to stay back because he's got injuries on his leg.
Yes, his leg is still really painful and probably still bleeding.
So Max tells Omi he thinks that this might be his fault. Howard, with his shotgun, begins to limp up the steps while the rest make their way to the attic, but Howard stops, and Linda calls to the girls, but there is no sign of them. Linda then notices that all the gifts from before have been now opened up from the inside and have come out.
Yeah.
And something bangs behind them. Downstairs, Howard makes his way into the kitchen because there's some sounds coming from the kitchen as well. He finds some smashed glass plates, and we see the vent that she was hearing the sound out of is now open. So Howard checks the pantry while upstairs the group find nightmare fuel in the form of a clown doll that's in the Jack in the Box that is a giant worm that is swallowing it would be Jordan whole.
Yeah, its jaws literally open from the sides.
Yeah, think of Blade 2, the head vampire in Blade 2. The mouth opens like that, exactly like Dirt Clown, which is what Dougherty calls it.
Okie doke.
Doherty. So that is when we see that this thing is now swallowing one of the kids, and even Tom has the line where is it? Oh, come on.
Yeah.
So that is when Howard is ambushed by evil gingerbread man downstairs. They start firing a nail gun at him as they hit him in the leg a couple times. He grabs a cutting board, catching several of the nails. Upstairs, Sarah catches sight of a demon cherub angel thing that opens its wings up and dives onto her and starts attacking her. Tom and Linda try to help, but Linda is ambushed by an evil teddy bear. Downstairs, Howard gets a shotgun, sending some of the gingerbread men ablaze. While upstairs, Sarah fights the cherub. Tom is attacked by a killer robot toy, while their clown tries to escape through the vent.
Yeah, a lot is happening, kids.
Yeah. So downstairs, the gingerbread men burn while one of them goes to attack Howard with a sharpened candy cane, only to be eaten in midair by Rosie, his dog.
His big fat bulldog.
So up in the attic, Der Clown gets into the vent, or gets to the vent after getting the cover off. Linda, catching sight of an unconscious Stevie, sticks the teddy bear in the eye with a fake icicle. She saves her sister by cutting her free from the lights that the cherub is trying to hang her with, and hits the robot with an axe as she charges the Jack in the Box, but the clown gets into the event, and that's when she goes to Stevie's aid, and Sarah takes a shot at the robot with the pistol, killing it.
Yeah, and killing the hell out of it.
Killing the hell out of it.
Yeah.
So Max calls from downstairs as they race back down. They hear the Jack-in-the-Box going through the vents. Howard reloads his shotgun while the group figure out the next plan, and that's when Max takes the vent cover off downstairs, letting Rosie into the vents. We hear some sounds, some barking, some screams, some creature sounds, and suddenly silence when the roof caves in, dropping the Jack-in-the-Box right before them.
Yeah, and then a few extra bonus things, too.
So the bear comes in from behind the couch. Dorothy then grabs her shotgun, taking aim at it. She shoots the bear. Then the angel cherub she shoots as well. Then Tom tells her to finish it, and she's like, okay, you got it, and tries to take a shot, and that's when sleigh bells ring out, and Omi goes, elves, as elf creatures crash in through the windows.
Now, in this film, the elves are these little short people wearing these creepy ornate masks with chains on them, and they all storm in, gather up the toys.
Yeah, gather up the toys. They wrap chains around Dorothy. They wrap chains around her clown, and that's when Dorothy is pulled out. Howard leaps on top of her clown because it's swallowed Jordan at this point, and he's also pulled out with it. And the elves swarm the rest of them, but stop as we hear a horn sound, catching their attention, and they scatter.
Yes, which suggests Big Daddy Krampus
is coming.
Yes.
So Tom checks on everyone, telling Max to grab the ammo, stating they need to make a break for it. Omi tries to relight the fire, but is having no luck. She goes through several matches. Nothing's happening. Tom tells her they need to go now when suddenly something slams down on the roof. Power temporarily comes back as we get treated to up on the housetop.
Ah, how comforting.
And that's when the group prepare to leave the house, exiting, but Omi slams the door, telling Max to be good before she does it. And Max and Tom call to her, but Omi boards up the door. Tom tells Max to go through the window, and that's when Max tells his dad she wants to help. She wants to face Krampus.
Yeah, well, and I mean, it makes sense. You know, she's been hiding since she was a little girl from it. And now that it's here...
So back in the house, up on the housetop concludes. Omi stands in front of the fireplace. Suddenly, we see the chimney begin to break, just like it did at Derek's house, and fracture as Krampus slowly drops into the house, rising out of the fireplace right in front of Omi. And he is, at least 8 feet tall in this shot?
I would say, because he's crouching.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's definitely 8 feet tall.
So he slowly approaches her, extending a hand to touch her face, as a long tongue also comes out from behind this creepy-ass Santa mask that he has on. He places a sack down beside her, opening it, and that's when we see that there's many evil toys that come to life, leap out on her as we cut to black.
Do You Even Movie will be right back. Welcome back to Do You Even Movie?
Outside, Max and his family are being led by Tom as they march deep through the snow as thunder and snow continues to fall all around them. The snow comes to life once again as something begins to move through it. Tom opens fire on it before telling his family that they need to go. He hugs Sarah and Max, sending them on their way while he continues to take aim at the snow, emptying more and more shots as it circles him when suddenly he is sucked under the snow and completely out of sight.
Yeah.
So the group reaches the snowplow. Suddenly Linda is sucked under the snow as Stevie gets a final hug in. Sarah helps Max and Stevie into the plow before she is sucked under, which is a really sad scene.
Well, and it's like Tremors in the snow too.
Yeah,
like,
it absolutely is.
They're being grabbed and pulled in, but no, as the final family members are being pulled away, it just gets sadder and sadder.
She's like, I love you, and just vanishes right below. So that is when Max begins to cry, but Stevie tells him they have to go. Max frantically tries to get the ignition turning on the snowplow, but has no luck. Elves swarm the sides of the plow, taking Stevie away. Max kicks an elf into the snow, which it's sucked under, as we see. He gets out to hear Stevie's cries for help when Krampus leaps down in front of him, standing tall and dropping a Krampus bell along with his torn letter.
Yeah, it's wrapped in his torn letter, which is really a beautiful touch.
Beautiful touch indeed. So that is when we hear Omi's voiceover once again, stating that he left me behind as a reminder as what happens when the Christmas spirit dies. As we see the camera pull away from Max, it cuts to black, and you could think that the movie's over. Like, the first time we were in theaters, we were just like, shit.
Yeah.
But we come back to Max is marching through the snow, coming to Krampus's sled. He calls out to him, "Hey, asshole!" Krampus
Krampus is like, I'm not Jason Voorhees.
Krampus wanders over to Max as he states, "I take it all back," even throwing the bell at him, telling him to give him his family back. He wants to take his wish back. He doesn't want any of this anymore. We watch the bell begin to sink into the snow as the ground begins to shake and opens up into what I can only describe as an absolute hellscape.
Yeah, I would say literally.
Yeah, literal
it's
hellscape.
A giant fiery hole
pit
in the ground.
Yeah. So that's when the fiery pit rises from the ground as Max watches Stevie get walked over, and he's like, hey, I take it back. Take me instead. Max charges Krampus, ready to fight, but stops as he begs Krampus to fix this. Give them back. I offer myself in return, and he has tears in his eyes. And Krampus pauses, wiping the tear away from Max's eyes, and then he lets out a laugh. His minions join in. Stevie is thrown into the hole, and that's when he's like, I'm sorry, I didn't want any of this to happen. That's when Krampus lifts him up, throws him into the hole, and we watch Max just basically fall completely into the
We watch
depths.
him Hans Gruber into hell.
Into hell.
Yeah.
So that's when he comes to in his room. He falls out of bed in a frenzy. He looks around, looking outside to see the snow is falling, but the neighborhood has completely returned back to normal. Power's on. Cars are wandering the streets. He sees people, and that's when he also sees that it's Christmas Day.
Yay!
As he opens the final day on his advent calendar, he goes downstairs to find the whole family enjoying Christmas morning. Beth comes around the corner, and she's like, it's about time you got up. And Howard's like, we thought the Sugar Plums fairy got to you.
So funny.
So he sits between his parents as Stevie states, enough of this sentimental shit, let's open the presents. So Omi hands out hot chocolate to everyone. They begin to open presents, and Max is just looking around smiling because this is the Christmas he wanted. Everybody's happy, everybody's joking, they're having fun opening presents.
They start playing a very throaty version of Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas.
Max is handed a gift, and that's when he hugs his parents, telling them Merry Christmas, and his mom's like, what brought this on? And he's like, I'm just, happy, Merry Christmas. Opening the box, he sees that it's the Krampus bell. Pulling it out, his mom catches sight of the bell. She becomes uneasy, and then we see the rest of the room begins to come easy, remembering the events of the film. We hear the voiceovers of shit that's happened and whatnot.
We hear the sound of everything that went down.
Yeah, and that's when Omi's voiceover plays once again, and we see that he looks over to Omi, and she just looks somber before looking down. Santa Claus is coming to town, starts to play on a turntable. As we begin to pull out of the house, we go through the front window, we come out of the house, and that's when we come out of a snow globe. As we see the house is in a snow globe, in Krampus's lair, which is surrounded by many snow globes, all that have houses in them.
Yes.
And we see that it is a huge lair, snow globes everywhere, and that is when the toys come onto the screen, jump at us, we cut to black.
One last jump scare.
And that, my friends, is 2015's Krampus.
Yes, indeed it is. And I debated if I should share what I would have liked the ending to be, because I've had this opinion since I first watched it.
Okay.
My least favorite part of this movie, and I love this movie, is the ending.
Okay.
I like a happy ending.
Mm-hmm.
It ends with a scary, ending, which is good. It's a horror movie.
Yeah.
But I always thought that if Max was going to undo what he did, that it should have been like through some kind of a self-sacrifice, but not like just saying, take me or whatever.
Yeah.
And my thought, and this is probably pretty silly, but my thought was he would come to Krampus like demanding, like, take me, let her go. I thought he should just like whack him away from him, like throw him 20 feet, 10 feet, whatever. He'd fall and get back up and just keep coming and saying, please, take me. And he'd knock him away. And the kid would come back with like a bloody nose. He'd come back like all this stuff. And that eventually Krampus would realize that this kid will let him beat him to death to save his family.
Yeah.
And that would break the curse.
Okay.
That was after watching it at least once or twice. I just thought about, I was like, well, how would a happy ending work?
Yeah.
If there was one where it wasn't that they were all in the snow globe.
Do you believe that they're trapped in the snow globe?
Oh yeah.
So I first time I saw it, I did too. On further watches and after reading some other descriptions of it, I almost wonder if they're in the snow globe because Krampus is just keeping an eye on them now.
That could be. Yeah, it could be. But I didn't get the sense that like the snow globes showed you somewhere. I got the sense that the snow globes were
somewhere.
them.
Yeah,
but I could see that argument though.
Yeah. So would you like to know what the budget of the film was?
Sure. Budget
is estimated at $15 million.
Honestly, a little lower than I was thinking.
Opens December 6th of 2015, makes $16,293,000 at the box office. Then it grosses in US and Canada $42 million. Worldwide ending in $61 million.
Not bad. I actually thought it did better.
That's
for some reason. I believe your numbers. I'm just saying I thought it did a little bit better. It still was a hit.
Yeah. It opened number 1 on Friday and number 2 for the weekend behind Mockingjay Part 2. Shot at Stone Street Studios, Wellington in New Zealand.
Oh, I didn't realize it was shot in New Zealand.
95% of it shot in New Zealand.
I had thought Canada.
Yeah. The film was originally to release on November 25th, but was pushed back to December 4th to coincide with Krampusnacht, a traditional Austrian festival held on December 5th that celebrates the Krampus coming to punish naughty children.
Which would have been the day to do this show, but Dave doesn't respect Germany, and that's one of the few things I agree with you on.
Early in Dougherty's research, he turned up many old postcards with Krampus representations, finding that a large amount were humorous. Dougherty immediately knew he wanted his film to match with the dark humor. He decided to also use Krampus's minions, blending imagery of the snowmen and various toys in the film. He was also fascinated to realize that Krampus folklore predates Christmas itself, offering multiple theories and ideologies to pull from for the film.
Well, there's a whole thing, too, where Krampus is kind of comes from the same spark of idea as El Hombre del Saco, which is the bagman, the sack man, which is a very common bedtime story, scary story for children in Portugal, Spain. My grandpa told me about it the first time. He didn't tell it to be scary. He just told me, like, here's a crazy story my grandma used to tell me. It's now a common story in Mexico, Central America, South America, but similar bagman stories spread throughout Europe as well. And when I first read it, I was like, this kind of sounds like Krampus.
Yeah.
A little bit. I mean, except the version in Portugal was very gruesome. It wasn't that he had a sack full of kids. We had a sack full of pieces of kids.
Jesus.
No, Jesus. Just the kids.
So Dougherty wanted the film to have the feel of a family Christmas film that was invaded by Krampus in its second act. The decision came from the idea of someone channel surfing and thinking they were watching a Christmas movie, and then it would be surprised and hooked once the darkness begins to seep in.
I could see that for sure.
Yeah. Todd Casey and Dougherty both stated the original concept of the film was too violent and over the top with its content that the decision was made to bring in Zach Shields, who reshaped the film into a trapped in a house movie. Dougherty wanted the film to have an early Amblin feel like Gremlins.
I think they got that pretty decently.
Yeah, I would say so. Krampus shot entirely on sound stages at Stone Street Studios, except the opening, which was shot at a functional box store. This decision was made so that they could control the weather elements presented in the film. The production used two different types of fake snow, including soap suds for the falling snow, while the snow on the ground was made of rubber-absorbent pieces found in diapers. The soundstage allowed also for the use of forced perspective, digital effects, and also allowed for a fairy tale-like landscape to be presented for the film.
Well, when you build it, you have full control over it.
Due to the use of digital effects in designing the neighborhood, Dougherty encourages fans of the film to find hidden pop culture houses, including the Myers house, Amityville, Christmas Vacation, and more.
I was sad I didn't see the Simpsons house.
Do You Even Movie will be right back. Welcome back to Do You Even Movie?
Stone Street Studios was half a mile away from Weta Workshop, the studio behind Weta, yeah, sorry.
That's okay.
The studio behind the visual effects of the film, who also worked on Lord of the Rings and Avatar. Around the corner from Weta, Dougherty had the digital studio set up for the film, and next to that were the post-production offices.
I mean, it makes sense. That's one element of getting the tax credit money, too, is you do as much as you can in the country.
Yeah.
But, I mean, they weren't schlubbing it using Weta. They're one of the best in the world.
Yeah. Dougherty knew from the get-go that he wanted Krampus to be a character made by practical effects. While he had looked at numerous 7-foot actors, he ended up deciding on Luke Hawker, a 5'9" creature specialist who happened to work for Weta Workshop. Hawker brought his ideas for the look of Krampus from various Krampusnacht festivals, where he studied the movement and body language of those in costumes.
One of my favorite things about the design of Krampus in this movie is that when you finally get a good look at him, it looks like he's wearing a mask.
Yeah, Santa mask.
And I think he is. I think it's definitely intentional.
Yeah.
And it makes it so much creepier.
Eerie. Oh my god.
Because most depictions of Krampus, he has this crazy kind of dragony, not dragony,
devil.
A devil. I was gonna say like a gargoyle.
Okay.
Kind of like an old school like demon face.
Todd Casey, one of the writers on the film, stated that Toni Collette and Krista Stadler's characters, who's Omi, are based off his real-life mother and grandmother. Omi's backstory was inspired by a true family backstory. He didn't say what it was.
Fun. Jesus.
Simon Wilkins, the storyboard artist of the film, states the entire film was storyboarded, including dialogue scenes. The first sequence he recalls storyboarding was the chase scene between Krampus and Beth on the street. Wilkins adds he usually has movies on while he storyboards and was watching Anchorman while storyboarding the first scene of Howard and Linda's arrival and started sketching Koechner into his boards before he even was cast. Dougherty took notes of this and ended up having a meeting with Koechner, showing him the storyboards. Koechner left his office that day having accepted the role.
That's crazy.
I
That's
know.
wild. I would never have guessed that's how it came about.
Peter Jackson invited the cast to dinner at his home with his wife. Koechner recalls that he ended up getting seated right next to Jackson, and they enjoyed the evening, sharing their loves of old-time comedy of Laurel and Hardy, Abbott and Costello, The Three Stooges, and more.
Abbott and Costello.
Abbott and Costello.
Abba and Costello. Very great band. Highly underrated.
During filming, fan and friend of Koechner, Adam Scott, had two funny incidents that Koechner recalls, one of which being that Koechner was on set texting on his phone while Scott walked past, grabbing the phone out of his hand and dropping it into the nearest trash can and continued walking with no look back or mention of it later on set.
That's a good one.
The second incident he recalled was during the scene in which the group is looking over the map of the town, planning an escape route. Scott was mapping their route by drawing dicks on the map while the actors were filmed in close-up.
That's a good one, too.
Yeah. Allison Tolman, who portrays Linda in the film, had moved to L.A. after her success in Fargo TV series. While guest spotting on various TV shows, came across a script from Krampus due to her agent, who informed her she would probably have an easy time getting the gig, as Dougherty was looking for, had contacted her agent, stating he was looking for an Allison Tolman type. Unaware that she represented Tolman, Tolman had a meeting with Dougherty at his office where she agreed to do the film as long as he promised not to prank her on or off set, as Dougherty is notorious prankster in his films.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. The scene in which the family is hearing various sounds in the attic was pulled off with authentic reactions of the actors. During filming, Dougherty was on the second floor of the set, lightly walking from room to room with two boards. He would then bang on the floors and walls in different rooms to give the appearance of Krampus's minions wandering the attic.
I mean, that works. You'd be amazed how loud boards are when you hit them together, man.
Yeah. None of the creatures were shown in their completed states to the actors until the days of shooting with them arrived. This is very evident in reactions during the attic siege, as well as Max's first run-in with Krampus in the snow.
Yeah, they look sincerely surprised.
Yeah. The visible breath and cold exteriors was done digitally, but a major component of it involved filming real people in freezers reading dialogue for the scenes. Their breath was then isolated and added optically in shots.
That is going all the way.
Yeah.
I mean, at that point, like, maybe you should just do what they did in The Thing and just drop the temperature to like 48 degrees and turn the humidity up all the way. I mean, because that's I'm impressed that that's how far they went for it.
Composer Douglas Pipes described his music as a collection of twisted Christmas carols with pagan thrown in. He incorporated the sounds of chains, bells, bones, and animal skin drums into the score and had choirs chant and whisper in different tongues.
Huh. Christmas music, but with pegging included. Nice.
Fucking Christ. Krampus's true face is hidden underneath a Santa Claus-like mask and is never fully revealed to the audience as a choice by filmmakers to allow viewers to make their own conclusions on his actual appearance. His eyes and mouth are only visible traces that can be seen throughout parts of the mask.
His eyes are like a demented goat's eyes.
Yeah. Luke Hawker, who plays Krampus in the film, says the fireplace reveal scene with Krampus was one of the most difficult Krampus scenes to shoot. The fireplace was a cramped space, but with two performers in the suit, added difficulty for movement and visibility, to the point he states he couldn't see Krista's face during the moment Krampus caresses Omi's face. He was grateful that he didn't poke her eye.
You think that's bad? Try playing a horse with another guy.
The movie's ambiguous ending has spawned two fan theories. Number one, that the Engels and their family are trapped in a snow globe, condemned to repeat Christmas morning for an eternity in a twisted version of hell. Or two, they were given a second chance and the snow globe is Krampus's means of watching over them. Although writer and director Dougherty has refused to confirm which theory is true, the tie-in comic book, Shadow of St. Nicholas, confirms that the happy ending is the true one. The comic has murdered characters resurrected without any hint of a twist, showing that Krampus is willing to give people a second chance as long as they prove they've learned their lesson. Unlike his grandmother, Max was brave enough to confront Krampus and prove he learned his lesson, which was why Max and his family returned and the grandmothers didn't. Dougherty says the later is a cynical, albeit possible, interpretation.
Okay.
While the alternate ending is included on the 4K, showing the same ending with a change that only Max and Omi are the ones that notice the eeriness as when he opens the bell.
I kind of like that a little bit more, honestly.
According to Wilkins, there was a scene that takes place at the ending before Max confronts Krampus, where Max would drive a snowplow to Megamart, the mall at the beginning, which he finds frozen over along with few inside of it. There he would find a contraption being run by Krampus's minions that would turn people into fruitcakes. Max finds Beth alive, and the two begin to fight off Krampus's elves in an attempt to save his family from the conveyor belt they're on. Max and Beth would initially get caught by the elves, and the scene would resume with Max's confrontation of Krampus.
That's a little too Gremlins 2.
Yeah.
Not Gremlins 1.
Yeah.
You know?
So what are your final thoughts on 2015's Krampus?
I try not to have any thoughts whenever I can help it. They hurt. No, it's a buy it. It's a buy it. It's a classic. It's a modern classic Christmas horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's holiday enough to really get you in the spirit of the season. It's PG-13. You could pretty much watch it with the whole family.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a little bit of swearing, but it's not too bad.
Yeah.
The only thing I'm mad about this movie is I don't understand how there's not a sequel.
I know.
It did pretty good at the box office. It had great reviews. Dougherty is out there working. I just, a Krampus 2, I was shocked there wasn't one within 2 Christmases.
Yeah.
I thought there'd be one within 2 Christmases, and there wasn't. I was like, we could have a whole world of Krampus movies.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, we do, unfortunately.
Wow, Hateful Dave over here.
Dude,
hating.
you tell me half of those Krampus movies are good.
I mean, I'm not going to tell you that, but you're mean.
I can be mean.
Well, we'll see how you feel when Krampus comes and visits you with your bottle of wine in the shower.
That was at least like 5 or 6 years ago.
Oh, he remembers.
Yeah, it's a buy it for me as well. I think it's one of those movies that you, like you said, you could show to the entire family. It's a great one to throw on every Christmas. It has become a regular of my rotation. The characters are so written and fleshed out well that you really do care about every single one of them, even if some of them do act shitty sometimes.
Yes.
But the characters are great. The story is fun, and the scares still get me to this day.
Yeah, they're very effective.
So, yeah, it's a buy-it for both of us. We always like to end the show with a couple recommendations. I have 2 this week. The first one being A Christmas Horror Story from 2015, currently available on AMC+. It says, interwoven stories that take place on Christmas Eve as told by one festive radio host. A family brings home more than a Christmas tree, a student documentary becomes a living nightmare, and a Christmas spirit terrorizes while Santa slays evil.
That one aged really well. I didn't love it the first time I watched it, but now I really like it.
Yeah, and my second recommendation, I'm going to go with a 90s classic that is currently on Peacock, Pluto, Tubi, and Prime, Jack Frost, Mutant Killer Snowman.
I love Michael Keaton.
As notorious serial killer Jack Frost is being driven to his execution, the truck carrying the murder encounters a bizarre accident that transforms him into a mutant snowman. Sheriff Sam Taylor, who caught the psychopath originally, has remained concerned about his return, and it seems that his fears were only well-founded. Before long, bodies pile up, all killed in gruesome, wintry ways.
Oh.
It's a long-ass synopsis.
A long synopsis.
Yeah.
Well, I decided to go with Letting the World Burn.
Oh, I love that movie.
I wanted to go fucking what the hell. I think 1989's
it was
Elves.
so close, but the availability of it.
But it's so unavailable that I don't even feel bad saying just watch it on YouTube.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because you can't get it in any way legitimately.
No.
Like you have
unless you find a VHS.
But that's what I mean. But like those aren't in print. I mean, they're collectible.
Yeah.
It is one of the craziest goddamn things I've ever seen in my life. From 1989, Elves. A woman, this is the description on IMDb, a woman finds she is part of a Nazi breeding experiment with elves to create supermen. She and friends are trapped in a store with an elf. Only a renegade Santa Claus can save them.
And who is that renegade Santa Claus played by, Enrique?
I don't fucking... Dan Haggerty.
Yes.
Yeah, Grizzly
Adams himself.
And it is so worth your time.
God, I love that movie.
That description makes it sound saner, actually.
Yeah.
It is completely out of its mind. I'm so happy. I saw a couple days ago the still of Dan Haggerty where it says, now what do the Nazis have to do with the elves is going viral again.
Yes,
People are just passing it around.
Goddamn right it is.
So I want to recommend Elves. You can't, I mean, like, it's not a matter of money. If you have $20, you can't watch Elves with the $20.
Yeah.
So I don't feel bad saying, just find it on YouTube. One day I hope the rights issues can be figured out so we can get a legitimate release and whoever owns it can make some money, but that ain't happening right now, and it probably isn't going to happen for a long time. So Elves from 1989, just type in Elves 1989 into YouTube, put that on, watch it with someone you love or someone you hate. They're both good options. It's a great, great romp. and so silly.
It is not PG-13. That is a lie.
IMDb never lies. You're the liar.
Do You Even Movie will be right back. Welcome back to Do You Even Movie?
Since it is Christmas Eve, I did want to throw one out there that you and I both love that is readily available right now and usually isn't. P2 from 2007.
You mean PB2? The peanut butter powder?
P2 from 2007, starring Rachel Nicholas and Wes Bentley. Sorry.
It's okay. You need to hit Control-Delete, I think.
Shut up. This is the story of a businesswoman is pursued by a psychopath after being locked in a parking garage on Christmas Eve. This movie is insane. Super,
super good. It's from that ending era of the somewhat French-inspired extreme horror.
Yeah.
It has everything you could ever want from a parking garage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Car chases in the parking garage, horrible murder, torture, torment, psychopaths trying to make a woman love her.
Psychopaths in Santa suit.
Yes. No, for real. It's got just about everything you could want.
Yeah.
P2 is a awesome holiday option.
You should definitely throw it in.
And if I'm going to throw in a contender for great holiday movie,
do it.
I would. No, then I don't want to anymore. You ruined it.
Go.
I was going to say Dead End.
Dead End's good.
And if you like Dead End, what?
Wind Chill?
Wind Chill.
Yeah.
They're very similar movies, but Wind Chill has a bigger budget. It's the snowstorm. I would say that Dead End has more of the wacky, fun element.
Yeah.
As to where Wind Chill is more of the staunch, cold, creepy ghost story. They're both about being on a haunted road on Christmas Eve and getting trapped.
Yeah.
And anything more than that could spoil it, but it's really
so good.
Really fun.
Yeah, and they are readily available right now. Those are our Christmas Eve horror suggestions for this show, I would say.
Yeah, if you're listening to this while you're, making deviled eggs and punching the table or whatever, we hope that we helped you relax a little bit this holiday.
Yeah.
If you happen to somehow be with Dave's least favorite relative, I'm sorry. If you would just say who it is, then maybe you could protect yourself from it.
Nope.
But David does not love you. Not the way I do, baby.
Oh, but I do love them because you want to know what we're talking about next week on the show?
Well, we haven't even gotten to emails.
We have emails?
I think we have one.
Ooh, I like emails.
We're running late, but what the hell? It's Christmas!
It's Christmas!
So we have, I believe, one email from our buddy Tyler.
Oh, okay.
Who ironically sent this email 2 days ago, and then I had lunch with him today.
Yeah.
But this is a tough one.
Okay.
Because this is a big question.
Okay.
So Tyler sent an email. He sent it to doyouevenmoviepod@gmail.com. You're welcome to send us an email yourself. It says, boys, what are 5 of your personal favorite movies that you think don't get enough love?
Oh my God.
I told you it was not easy.
Shit, that is going to take a second. Do you have one?
I have several.
Go ahead and give one of yours.
Okay, so number 1, Observe and Report with Seth Rogen.
Fair.
Phenomenal film.
Yeah.
Everybody should watch it. Straight Into Darkness by Jeff Burr.
Yeah.
Phenomenal movie. Everybody should watch it.
Yeah.
Stars David Warner. Those are just off the top of my head immediately.
I'm going to go with Skin Deep with John Ritter, Blake Edwards directed. Very fun love story about a guy that's basically thrown away every relationship he's had so far, so he's trying to figure out what's wrong with him. Really, really good movie. That's one of my personal favorites.
Okay.
Second to that, I would probably go with... God, dude, this is a hard one. Shut up. Go with
I didn't read this ahead.
Yeah, I did.
I peeked it briefly right before the show.
My brain is not braining, but Skin Deep's a big one for me. I'm trying to think of some other ones.
It's hard. Do you watch movies?
Shut up.
I'm trying to help. Gosh, I've already said 2.
I know.
Okay.
The Founder with Michael Keaton.
I don't feel like that's that underappreciated.
Okay, then I'm going to go with Desperate Measures with Michael Keaton. With him and Andy Garcia. Keaton plays an inmate that is basically up for a operation to give Garcia's son the body part he needs. I can't think of the organ he needs.
Gotcha.
It's really good.
Lakeview Terrace.
Lakeview Terrace is excellent.
Phenomenal movie with Samuel Jackson. Very, very scary, very intense film. And I feel like it kind of came and went, but it was really, really good.
Yeah. I would go with the paper. I'll go with another Michael
Oh my
Keaton one.
gosh,
dude!
David.
That's an easy one because I've seen a lot of his movies, and I think a lot of his movies are underrated.
Okay. Well, I didn't expect you to name one that fast. I have two more left, and
Okay.
I'm trying my best. Super.
Super fantastic.
Directed by James Gunn, starring Rainn Wilson.
Yeah.
That's one that I really think people need to watch. It's very, very, very good.
I'm seriously having trouble with this. This is stupid.
Is that the title of a foreign film? Or,
oh God!
Really?
Dude,
I mean,
I should have been better prepared. My brain is so focused on Krampus stuff that I'm and it was a very long day. So
blame it on Krampus.
Shut up.
Blame it on Krampus. Well, I guess that's all you're worth, Tyler.
Tyler, I apologize. It's been a long day, and if I would have known this question was coming, and that's no offense to you, I'm not saying that. It's more so just I can't think of any off the top of my head right now. There's too many. What?
It's a shame.
Fine. Prime Cut with Gene Hackman and Lee Marvin. It's a really good Kansas City gangster movie.
Yeah, Prime Cut's really good.
Prime Cut's good. And on top of Prime Cut, I would probably go with Rolling Vengeance, which is a crazy-ass vigilante movie about a guy that... Remember, I've shown it to you.
Rolling Vengeance.
The guy that builds the ultimate, monster truck that has...
Oh!
Yeah.
Oh, that movie's crazy.
Yeah. And then on top of that, Eye of the Tiger with Gary Busey.
Okay, now you're just cheating. I mean, that's... I feel like that one's kind of famous, though.
It's
but
not.
You've already named 5.
Yeah,
you fuck.
I can keep going now. Now that my synapses have fired.
Well, I'll just flip the camera to you, and I'm gonna go have some eggnog.
No, I'm good with those.
If I had to pick one more, I was trying to pick one that really people don't know a lot about. Switch with Jimmy Smits.
Switch with Jimmy Smits.
Yeah, that's
another Blake
movie.
Edwards movie. Yeah,
yeah, that's a really good film.
Yeah,
that I wish more people knew. So there you go. That was a hard one, but eventually Dave raised to the occasion.
I literally had to picture my Blu-rays at my house.
But I will say, Tyler, Dave will be whispering your name while he has his shower wine. So
I don't believe that's going to happen.
Well,
I haven't had shower wine in a long time, sir.
That means you're due.
That's not. Yeah, Christmas break is coming up.
It's the holidays.
It's the holidays.
So, we're going to get the fuck out of here.
Well, would you like to know what we're talking about next
No.
week? So it is our New Year's Eve show because this will be dropping on New Year's Eve, and I am giving you another first-time watch with one of my favorites.
What a gift.
1983's Get Crazy.
Okay.
And this is a movie about a concert hall that is in dire straits. The owner ends up having a heart attack. They're trying to save it with this last show. Ed Begley Jr. is playing a bad guy, and he's trying to swoop in and get the concert venue. Meanwhile, they're trying to get the show going on. You got young Daniel Stern, young Malcolm McDowell, Ed Begley Jr., a bunch of other people in it, and it's a lot of fun.
Okay, well, I guess that's how we're ending the year, with me being disappointed.
You're not going to be disappointed.
So, anyway, guys, we do hope you have a very good holiday. We hope you watch something fun with somebody you like.
Yes.
Maybe don't have so much wine in the shower, but honestly, at the same time, eggnog in the shower would be really sad and gross. It might curdle, depending on the setting on your water heater.
Yeah.
But thank you guys for hanging out with us. You can email us at doyouevenmoviepod@gmail.com. You can go to doyouevenmovie.com for all of our episodes and to contact us. If you're watching us on YouTube, please subscribe, leave a like, and leave a comment about the episode, the movie we talked about, anything we talked about during the program. If you're listening to us on a podcast, please make sure you're subscribed to our show and leave us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It really does make a big, fat, hairy, old man coming down the chimney difference.
It does indeed.
So, I guess there's nothing left to say, but we'll see you guys for New Year's Eve.
Yes.
And until then, just don't. I know your friends are doing it, so you want to do it, but take it from me, a guy who knows.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be German.
Don't be German, I guess.
See you next Tuesday, guys.
Later.